Hello again, friends! And you are our friends, and welcome back to another edition of Jim Cornette's Drive Thru right here on another beautiful fall day, close to Thanksgiving. We are well. We hope you are as well. I am your host, the great Brian Last. Of course, the star of the show will be introduced in a moment, and I think we're going to have more fun on the show here today than they had in that Barclays Center. Oof, what a dog of a show, but we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more with the star of the drive-thru, the man who has been the star of so many drive-thrus, Mr. Jim Cornette.
Marcia! Little Peter Brady-ish there at the beginning. Hello again, friends.
If only they heard the outtake.
You did it better on the one that the folks are going to hear. Can you hear me? How are you doing? How do I sound?
You sound okay. Can you hear me? What's going on over there?
Yes, I can hear you. It seems to be fine for the moment, but we have more updates on my continuing internet and cable situation here. If you're not listening to the programs in chronological order, the way the podcasting gods meant for them to be consumed orally, as in A-U-R-A-L-L-Y, orally, through your ears. If you're not listening to them in order, we've been having a running update on my various internet fiascos here at the castle, and most recently, on the last experience, I reported that I had upgraded to the 1 gig from the 500 byte service. But since they did something wrong on the telephone at customer service and didn't zap my modems the proper way for Marvin, the technician here on site, to be able to finish bringing all this internet into the house, they had sent it to the escalation team, which at first, as I mentioned, I thought was going to be a group of trained commandos storming the castle with grappling hooks, but I was told then that it was the smarter people in the company that would fix whatever the guy on the phone at customer service had fucked up so that my modems and or routers, which one is it, Brian? I can't remember what either one of them fucking do.
I'm not
is
exactly
it the modem or the router?
I think it's the router, but I don't know exactly what's happening.
Whatever the case, the escalation team was supposed to call me within 24 hours. That would have been last Friday afternoon. We recorded over the weekend, early Saturday. I mentioned I hadn't heard yet. And basically, it is now Tuesday early, and I ain't heard dick from these people. They didn't call me. We did the speed test on the internet. See, now I'm getting around about the bytes that I should have been getting all along with what I was paying for before. After Stacy plugged something in and Marvin did some things, and now I'm up around the 500 or 600 bytes. But as I mentioned, when I told them on the phone, I don't care what this fucking costs or what you have to do. I just want the fastest fucking internet possible, and I want it to work. So I upgraded to the 1 gig, but they fried the things. And so that was last week. I still haven't heard anything. And I have approximately 500 or 600 of the bytes out of the 900 or something that I'm supposed to have with the gig. But I had another issue. Because as we know, and we'll talk about later on, unfortunately, the Survivor Series was this weekend. Well, naturally, I don't want to patronize the cock because, as I mentioned many times, they have no on-screen fast forward, right? You got to just guess.
Well,
Go ahead.
I will say this time, for me, I had the ability to pause and go backwards in either 10-second increments or just, swipe back as far as I wanted. And once you went backwards, I had the ability to go forward or go to live TV.
Well, that's because you were trying to watch the thing as it happened.
Yes.
Yeah, well, fuck that too. Because then you can't skip through anything. And I've had fucking people goddamn be born, graduate college, and get a job by the time some of these entrances are over with, right? So anyway, I prefer to be able to be flexible there. but I was going to order the pay-per-view like I always do, like I always have. And since Marvin was kind enough to fix the cable box that had been fried earlier in the week, I decided I'd go ahead and purchase it on that one. And I went and I looked it up and I hit the thing and it said, not authorized. You must call so-and-so and such and such. All right, maybe they hadn't got that one done right just yet. I'll go down to the TV room, the big screen TV, my old faithful cable box. Everything's always worked on it. I hit that. You can't buy this. You must call something, something, such. What the fuck? Now I'm trying to give these people more money, and I can't. So I wasn't going to call about the bites and the gigs because I know that that's a fool's errand because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. More on this in a minute. But I figure I've been ordering pay-per-views by the phone from the cable company since 1986, right? That should be easy. I'll just call this number and explain to them they got to zap my cable box so I can order pay-per-views like I've been doing in this self-same location for the past nearly 20 years. So I call that number. And the guy's more than happy to help me. And I explained to him, I said, I'm trying to order pay-per-view. And it says I'm not authorized. And I know you've gone through a new billing system recently. Maybe that has something to do with why the boxes have been screwed up. Because one of the Spectrum employees that knows that they're a piece of shit company had emailed me and told me that. Actually, we've heard about several. I've heard from several Spectrum employees saying, yeah, they fucked a lot of shit up. So I said, can you just zap my cable boxes so I can be on my way? Oh, yes, I can. I see that how much was the pay-per-view that you were wanting to order? I said, $49, $50. I don't know. Why is that pertinent? Well, your pay-per-view limit is set to 0. I said, what is a pay-per-view limit?
Yeah, what's that?
He said, well, that's if you're set to 0, you have to call first to get authorization before you can order a pay-per-view. I said, apparently that's one of these new things, huh? Because I sound like I've been ordering pay-per-views longer than this guy's been living. He said, yeah. He said, so how much? Why don't we just set you to $75? I said, well, if you're going to set me to something, because I don't know what I'm going to do or order, set me to $200 or $300 so I don't have to call you back. Oh, well, I can't do that. I can only set you to $75. You have to talk to our billing department if you want to go. I said, wait a minute. Wait a goddamn minute. I said, I had the fucking guy over here last week about the shitty internet. I said, now you're telling me after I've had this service for 20 years and I've never been late on paying my bill and I've been ordering pay-per-views that whole time, that suddenly I got to talk now to somebody else besides you just to get them to allow me to give you fucking money? How about this? You set it for the $75 that you can do right now because it's goddamn Saturday afternoon and I'm busy and I got to watch something tomorrow. And then this week I'm going to call and have all this shit jerked out because none of it works and I'm sick and fed up calling you people. How's that? Yes, sir. So go ahead and set it. It's done. Thank you. Click. Go down and try to order the pay-per-view. It doesn't work.
Well, wait, to be fair, how long after the phone call did you go down and try it?
He says done now. It doesn't. It was 15 minutes, whatever the fuck. But it doesn't matter because now I say, you know what? What the fuck? So I have to go and I have to watch the thing on the cock with no on-screen fast forward with these marathon entrances. But basically, you know what I would have done? The old Jim Cornette. I would have done what I told the fellow on the phone. I would have called this week. I said, fuck all you motherfuckers. I hate you. I might have gone to the local office with a stick or a bat or something and broke some glass out. I would have. And by the way, they wanted me to put my phone service on there too with them so that they could bundle me better and save me $20 a fucking month or whatever. I said, you're not touching my phone. So the old Jim Cornette would have done that. I'd had everything yanked out. We would have been doing this podcast on the fucking phone, and I'd be off the internet. But instead, Brian, I'm older, I'm wiser, I'm more calm now than I used to be. So I know that these people don't know how this fucking shit's supposed to work, and I know that I'm not ever going to get what I'm paying for out of these people. With the gig service, it's not going to happen. So that's an extra $75, $100 a month, whatever the fuck it is. I don't care, because I'd have to call them to get them to take that off my bill, and then I'd have to go through all this other shit. So instead, I'm going to get my money one way or another out of these people. Because I'm figuring, since I've just mentioned this a couple of weeks, a couple of the shows, and already I've heard from some of the Spectrum employees that, yeah, they are a piece of shit company, and yeah, they've done this billing thing, and they've fried a lot of stuff, and they're not giving you what and all this other shit. Brian, we are listened to by, 500,000 people a week, give or take.
Well, a bit more than that.
Maybe I'm talking about each program. It depends on the fucking, right. I'm not talking about in total with everything that's out there that everybody just listens to. I'm talking about the new stuff each time going forward. So I just want to just let everybody know that I'm going to be calm about this. I'm not going to cause a stir. I'm not going to get violent. I'm just every week now, every show, I'm going to remind the countless people around the world that if you have internet or phone or cable TV with Spectrum, you are a victim. You are being lied to, cheated, and stolen from. That's what I'm going to, and maybe somebody with some kind of pull in this company that knows how their shit works can contact me and offer to fix this, but I don't know that I want that, because I would rather tell people on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, twice weekly, whatever that fucking phrase is, that they're a bunch of fucking crooks. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a paid-for spot. I'm getting my money's worth out of this. Ladies and gentlemen, this program is brought to you despite the best efforts of Spectrum. Get Spectrum for your cable TV or internet or anything else, and you're fucked. They'll lie to you, cheat you out of the service you bought, and steal your money for it anyway. Their customer service representatives are complete nitwits and imbeciles, and whatever problem you call about, they'll make it worse. Nobody that works for the company knows how a single goddamn product or service that they offer works, and most of it doesn't work right to begin with. Instead of their cable TV, you'd be better off showing slides on the side of a shed, and their internet service could be outperformed by elderly carrier pigeons with arthritic wings. If you use Spectrum for anything, you're an idiot, and dealing with these assholes will make you have a stroke. And if they control your phone service, it'll be fatal because you won't be able to call an ambulance. This program is brought to you again, despite Spectrum.
Is there a promo code?
A promo code, fuck you.
All right.
But it's your program, Brian.
That's what I have heard. And we have a lot to talk about here on the Drive-Thru, of course.
Oh, and I should mention.
Yes.
That if you're a Cornette's Collectibles customer, I, unlike Spectrum, do care about my customers. And we have been busily sorting the rest of the orders. There's less than 600 to go from the big blitz back in October. And I'm working all Thanksgiving weekend and all next week. The plan is to have all the domestics, the rest of the domestics, out in the mail by Monday, December 6th, and the internationals by the end of that week. And Australia and New Zealand, we got an update. Not only is there, I've got two updates. One person said that their post, what do they call it over there? Goddamn, in New Zealand, whatever the local mail service is called, the post or whatever, their shit's all fucked up. domestically over there to begin with. But another person shared with me that the United States is not even sending first-class mail right now to Australia or New Zealand because not only, I guess, are they swamped over there, but also we do not either have the flights or the space on the flights to get the stuff over there. So if you try to send something right now first class to Australia or New Zealand from Bree's testimony just a few days ago at the post office, they'll send it back to me. So I'm holding on to everything, and we're going to see when this lifts, and we will be contacting anyone affected if it doesn't by the time everything else goes out. But that's my update. And now it's your show.
Well, this is indeed my show, and as I was saying before, a lot of big topics today. Of course, the review of the Survivor Series, a big topic every year, but I feel like this is one of those weeks where right before we're about to record, a whole bunch of crazy shit happened.
I know. I got up this morning, and poor Seth Rollins.
Yes, well, speaking of...
I was just remarking to you.
I thought that was your transition, but of course, speaking of things that have happened, you want to talk about waking up this morning. I woke up really early this morning and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I said, all right, I'll wake up an hour earlier and get some work done. I come in the office, I put on CBS Channel 2 News, and the lead story is WWE wrestler Seth Rollins attacked in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center. And they put up a still image of him. And he looks like the nicest guy. He's just smiling. He doesn't look like a wrestler, like a nice bearded man. He's attacked. They don't show you any footage of it. It makes it sound like he's dead. Attacked at the Barclays Center last night. The next story, there was a shooting in Brownsville last night. They just go right ahead with the next thing. But it's been a big story.
Least, did they follow the shooting with a stabbing? No, go ahead.
But it's a big story right now, not just in wrestling. Like I said, it was the lead story on CBS Channel 2 News here in New York. What are your thoughts? What have you seen? And everyone's talking about it. What do you think about Seth Rollins being attacked by a fan in Brooklyn?
Well, first of all, and I've got to defend him about one thing, because was it Chavo Sr. or Chavo Jr.?
Chavo Sr. passed away a few years ago. It was Chavo Jr.
Oh, God. Okay. Then I'm sorry. I blanked. But all I saw was somebody screenshotted a small clip of, I guess maybe there's personal heat between them then, since Chavo didn't even work there anymore or whatever, but a small clip of the incident with Chavo's tweet that said something to the effect of, I remember when the wrestlers were tougher than the fans. And in this case, this was not Seth Rollins' fault.
No, not at all.
He never saw it coming, and we'll break down the. I wish we had one of those telestrators and a screen where we could break down the attack later on.
You are kind of like the John Madden of fan attacks, I would think. Right?
Well, I can tell you what happened here, and like I said, we'll go into more detail later on. But the overall thing is, I don't care if it had been Conor McGregor, Hoist Gracie, fucking Haku, whatever. In this case, it would have happened probably about the same way, except if it was Haku, he would have spread the referees out that, had contained the guy and fucking bit his jugular vein or whatever. But no, he got blindsided. And the fault of this is complacency. Complacency, because nobody today and we've talked about this a number of times when the guy jumped up on the apron on the AEW show, and we've talked about it in general terms. Nobody expects this because it never happens anymore. So therefore, everybody stops looking for it. They start looking for the things that they've had problems with recently. Drunk fans, or people trying to snatch something, or maybe somebody trying to get on camera in some unsavory way, or a sign that doesn't need to be up, or whatever the case. Nobody's looking for heat with an actual fan actually attacking somebody, because it never happens anymore. And so that's complacency. And I mean, this guy, I don't know what his issue was. I guess he's the one guy in the Western Hemisphere that hadn't yet got the memo. That especially who would have thought somebody on a WWE program would get any heat? I could see, like, it was one of the MLW tapings in Chicago that I was at. It got a little dodgy with Jacob Fatu and Joseph Samael, and and the Contra crew, when they debuted, and there was 2,000 people in the building, 15 of them were Hispanic, and they're still into things, and they got some steam there. But for the most part, who would have thought, especially on a WWE program, something like this would happen? I think the difference in this guy, we'll probably find out, is that in the old days, it was normal guys, probably drinking, possibly drunk, who got carried away and lost in a moment. And, probably, I've told a story that the nephew of this woman had sat on the front row in the Louisville Gardens for years, and she was smart. She would bring Fargo a bottle every week. She kind of knew what was going on, but her grown adult nephew in his 20s or early 30s lost himself one night and hopped in the ring, got his head kicked in. And he'd had a few beers, but it was normal people, got caught up in what was going on, got caught up in the fact that everybody else was screaming for somebody to do something.
And alcohol.
And there you go. In this case, we're probably going to find out that there's a mental component to this somehow with this fucking clown. I don't think I'm sure there's plenty of drunk guys at wrestling matches over the last few years that's not doing this. So something else. And like I said, everybody now has figured this out. So it's got to be something else going on with this guy. But that's how it was in the old days. And that's why people were looking for it, because you knew that at any point it could happen, because it could be anybody. It had happened with regularity. And everybody from the cops to the talent themselves, to the referees, to anybody connected with the program was watching for it. And that was first thing they were aware of. And now these guys go to and from the ring, and rightfully so. That's the last thing they should have to think of, is somebody hopping on them. But especially when you're a heel in any environment, you should be cognizant of what's going on around you. And I know there was a lot going on there, but did you see how the guy did it? How he got that unobstructed, like 50-foot fucking running start?
Well, that's the thing. He had a giant space. I mean, he almost came out of nowhere. The first time you see it, it's just out of the darkness when you see that first footage, that fan footage of it. And he just has an open run, and he tackles him. And I just want to say, I think any criticism of the initial reaction by Seth Rollins is completely unfounded, and Chavo's being a little unfair there, because what's he supposed to do? Gets tackled out of nowhere by someone who just ran for 50 yards, or not 50 yards, 50 feet, excuse me.
It could have been longer, because he come around the curve there. Yeah. We didn't see where he started.
And he put him in a front face lock. I mean, what else are you going to do? That's what anyone would do if all of a sudden you got attacked from behind. So what did you see?
Well, here's the thing. And for the people who didn't see it, we'll try to describe the layout, in that they're no longer using a stage and a ramp down. They're on the arena floor level. They've got the big video wall, which looks kind of slick, and it's got the opening that you can't see really, because they've got another video wall behind it. So it looks like the wrestlers are entering through the video wall, right? And there's a big open floor area in front of the video wall, and then it V's down into the entranceway down through the middle of the people, and there's a barricade on either side of that so that the fans can't get to the wrestlers or whatever, right? And the arena, the back of the arena there, where that barricade V'd out to encompass the video wall area, that's also where anybody who's been to a live TV taping of a wrestling show in a big arena like that knows that they put a lot of the equipment over on the sides there. And sometimes that's where you have the crash pads or the shit with sheets on it that they can get thrown off something or whatever. But there's equipment like a sound station, sound booth, and other things going on, lighting controls, whatever. And it's dark because in the corners back there, they don't want people to see a lot of that shit. So the point is, this guy didn't try to come right up to the aisleway that Seth was walking down and jump over that railing. What he did was he went back to one of the corners where it's kind of, the lights are darkened. They don't want you to see the corner back there anyway on television. But there's still all the 15,000 people that was Raw. So there was still a bunch of people in this building. And he just hopped over the barricade back there in the dark at the corner where it met the bleacher seats, general admission, where nobody was paying any attention. So he obviously, because they just done an angle where Seth kicked shit out of the babyface, got some heat or whatever. So instead of coming, it used to be a fan hitting the ring used to be a flash reaction. What's the word I'm searching for? Just a sudden impulse, right?
Instinct.
Where not necessarily instinct, but impulse to do something where they would take the shortest available route to you, right? Because that's what you got them and they come. That's why coming over the rail became a phrase. We got them over the rail because they'd come right over. This guy saw what had happened and from wherever he was in the building managed to get to that corner so he could hop into the space with the thought of tackling the fucking guy there in the open area where he had plenty of room. And that's exactly what he did. So when Seth is coming down, he had a cameraman next to him. They're shooting, literally the cameraman's backing up. So the fan, Mark, is coming from behind the cameraman because the cameraman's backing up, shooting Seth walking back. Seth knows the camera's shooting him, but he's going to look back and do the deal where he gets his glory while the babyface is selling and everything and raises his arms for the people. He's not expecting anybody in that back area to be there because it's all talent, all for the program. So he doesn't even say it. Plus the guy, to add to that, the video wall was red and the guy was wearing a red shirt. So all of a sudden, boom, he gets tackled out of his fucking boots from someone that he knows there's no continuation of this angle going on. Nobody's supposed to jump him, so he had to. But the furthest thing from his mind, because of complacency and everybody else's mind, was that it would be a fan. So when he first went down, you can see he's like, what the fuck? Is it one of the boys? Then he sees who it is. He front face locks the guy. And then here's where the shit gets sticky because I don't care if you're Conor McGregor or Hoist Gracie. Now you got a dog pile because now the referees start coming. And did you see when the first referee got there, I think he told Seth, and he'd probably been told in the IFB to let him go because without going into a goddamn long dissertation, they would rather their referees be liable in civil litigation than their mainstream $1 million talent, right? They don't want the fucking guys retaliating. This has been said to a variety of talent going back a number of years. Don't retaliate. The security will be there. The referees want to just protect yourself, but let's just say don't take after the guy tackles Brett at the Hall of Fame. Don't take that fucking cheap shot when he's already in custody and just bash his fucking face in like he deserves. That kind of thing, right? So now you got two referees on top of this guy. Seth let go of the front face lock, but the guys grabbed a hold of Seth's hair. And if you watch the clip that one of the fans recorded with their phone, by this point, the guy's Seth is on his back on the ground. The guy's got a hold of his hair, but the second referee comes in and the second referee is on top of fucking Rollins where he can't get out from under all this shit. And now here comes a guy with a fucking headset on, one of the crew members. And I'm still waiting for a cop in a uniform with a stick or some authoritarian fucking structure, right? Never came. All the referees when you're in a scramble on the ground like that, and there's people all over you, and you not only can't keep track of who's piled on, but where they are, you're fucked. You just got to get out from under it as quick as possible. And that's the fucking situation that Rollins was in, and it was over that quick, and then all the referees are on him. Now he jumps up, and they've got him covered up. The only thing you can see of this guy is his ass. So he's cutting a promo on the guy, but they've already probably told him, don't hit him. and there's nothing to hit because everybody's on top of this fucking guy.
I would have hit him. I would have fucking hit him.
Well, you can't.
Why can't you? He's going to sue me? Go ahead. Let's go to court.
You're not understanding the words coming out of my mouth. You can't hit him because everybody's on top of him. You can't hit him.
Once he was free, when Seth Rollins got behind the security guards and then started yelling at the guy, I'm sorry, that's when you kick him in the fucking face.
Well,
they're holding him. They're like your friends. It's like all of a sudden you have friends. They're holding the guy that just attacked you.
Yes.
You go over there, and
here's
him in the
thing.
fucking face.
In the old days, that used to work. But remember I just blasted the numbnuts on the AEW program for going over the rail and kicking the guy in the face. You don't want he's on television. People are shooting this. You don't want to see that.
He'd be a bigger star than ever before. It would make the lawsuit worth it because he'd be a bigger star than ever before. And the story wouldn't be poor WWE wrestler attacked by psychotic fan. It would be a wrestler was attacked and kicked the living shit. Don't do this, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it would be. But again, that's after the fact thinking, not in the moment.
But anyway, that's the thing, that it's scary when you get taken down. And that's only happened to me a couple of times. Leaving my feet with one of the fans on you or in the people or whatever. But that's the thing, is that once that happens and everybody's in that dog pile, you can't get shit, and you don't know what to get until you get out of it and take a look at it. And then I've told the story, but I'll tell it again briefly just because it fucking reflects the same flavor. The guy in Charlotte that got me, we were wrestling Dusty and Magnum in the Charlotte Coliseum. I knew that Charlotte was a hot building, and I always kept an eye out whenever I was involved in something. But also we had the iron railing barricade thing that was about 4 feet high that had a little break that you stepped over. Everybody's seen an old NWA Crockett tape, has seen this same railing. But the cops, the uniformed police, two of them would sit behind me, and then there was another one in each corner of the ring. But two of them were in folding chairs on either side of that little 2 foot wide opening in the railing. So there's a couple feet in between them. And actually the railing wasn't open all the way down to the floor. You had to step over a bottom rail that kept it squared up. So it was a step over thing. And they were behind me, and while I was in the corner, I give Dusty a poke with the racket while we're getting the heat on him. And immediately I look to my right and I see the cops are sitting there, and I look to my left to see the other way down the aisle just to make sure I don't see anybody coming. And suddenly from the back, my brains explode. Boom, because a fucking guy had run down the aisle. And imagine if you're sitting a couple feet beside a guy in a folding chair, and all of a sudden somebody comes in between you and over your shoulder at the same time. They said they just saw his ass coming over, and he landed, boom, because he jumped everything and punched me right behind the right ear before I knew anybody was there. Boom. So now I'm like, whoa. And immediately the cops are on him, and they grab him. When they grab him, he grabs me in a headlock. Now I've been fucking stunned, and I'm in a headlock, and I know it's a fucking fan. And I see the cop uniforms, but there the tussle starts, and here comes the cops from the other corners of the ring. And I'm trying to hit the guy, but since he's got me in a headlock, I've still got the racket in one hand, but I can't swing. The cops are on him. You can't, I'm just going along with it. And they're pulling him off his feet, which has taken me with it. And I've told this story. That's when Dusty saw that I was down or going down, and came through the ropes and kayfabing and trying to help me at the same time. He dives off the apron like he's going to get me, but he cross bodies the guy that's got me, that's being pulled by the cops. And so me, 4 cops, Dusty, and the Mark all went down. And then once the guy lets go of my head, I have to get out from under all of these fucking people on the concrete floor. And fucking I get up, and they're on top of him. And Dusty had gotten up, and I got away from Dusty, and he rolls back in because he doesn't want to disrupt the heat so Bobby can stop him again. But in the meantime, they're struggling with this guy, and I'm trying to find a place to hit. And one cop has him in a face lock, like Seth had his guy. And another one's on top of him, is trying to get a hammer lock on him. Another one's got his leg. The only thing that I see that's unobstructed is this guy's ass, just like the fucking guys, motherfucker, I'm going to try to break his tailbone with a football kick, right? I go for the kick, and as soon as I do, they move, and I end up kicking one of the cops in the fucking leg. Ow! I said, oh, shit, I'm sorry. Let us have him. So there was nothing for me to hit, right? And they drug him off, and they arrested him, and he's the one that he didn't pull it, but they took a 3 or 4 inch pocket knife off of him. So they arrest him and get him out of there. And then I've told this story, and you can look it up on YouTube. I'm not going to divert the subject, but that's when a few weeks later, they hit me with the rib arrest warrant for assault and battery on a police officer for kicking the cop in the fucking leg while he was on top of the mark. But it was a rib, and that's when I've cussed out poor baby doll because she knew it was a rib and I didn't, and she was laughing.
What did you say to her?
I say, you think it's funny, you fat fucking pig? God. Hey, I'm sorry. There was 4 cops there telling me they were going to put me in a car and take me to the station for assault and battery on a police officer from the incident in Charlotte, and she's laughing.
How did she react when you said
She just stopped laughing. She completely stopped laughing. In between saying, get somebody named Crockett in here, I said, and I apologized some years later, but it did add the edge to our program.
Did she really yell, get someone named Crockett in here?
No, I was yelling.
Oh, you were yelling.
Between me yelling, get somebody named Crockett in here, I looked over and she's laughing. I said, you think it's funny, you fat fucking pig? You're in a fucking jail. But anyway, so that's in that kind of a schmoz. That's what happens. And also it's scary. Like I said, when you get taken down, and that's the first thing any of the boys that started talking to me about how to protect myself when we went to Louisiana. When I first got into business, Frank Morrell would tell me, and Bobby and Dennis especially, don't let them get you off your feet because you're fucked. Because then the cops are because then you're stationary, you're not moving. The cops, if they're fighting people that bad, that if you're off your feet, the cops are fighting other people and you're fucking toast. And that's one of the only times I ever got took down. But sometimes you would get in a situation like that time in Huntington when I got the 4 assault complaints from leaving the ring to the dressing room, 4 different people. When the crowd surges, and I don't want, it's somewhat similar to like what they had in Houston at that concert, except this is 20,000 people at the Houston concert on a flat ground, all surging toward a stage, not with violent intent, they've just lost control, and that's what happened. But in a smaller situation, a lot of people may have seen, I think it's on YouTube, the Road Warriors in Hammond, Indiana, when they got in that beef at an AWA match. I think it was 1985, and they got in a fight out in that Hammond Civic Center. Was tough. You see the crowd moving in a wave kind of in a couple of times.
Yeah.
Okay. When you're going down the aisleway and the ringside seats were next to you back in the old days, before they got all this security and hardly ever use it. Back when we were constantly threatened and had little to any security. When you were in the aisleway, you had to watch the sides of you because the people were right there. But the ringside seats benefited you in that it blocked people from just running up in an open space willy-nilly and coming at you from any direction. You see what I'm saying?
Of course. So
the people on the ends of the seats could still get you and whatever. But once you got past ringside, if you were in an open area of a building and there was a big crowd and people were hot, you've got cops around you, but as they all charge from a different direction and they're trying to push and shove and give you the finger or spit on you or throw or do whatever, you start moving sometimes with the entire group of people that you're in the middle of. And it's fucking scary because I've gone 8 or 10 feet in some of these things without taking a step. And you just hope that you continue going in the direction that you're supposed to be going in and try to hug the cops. because the crowd will move, or it doesn't anymore, but it would move you when they were surging from all directions. That's why we didn't like open floor areas. Even sometimes when it wasn't a big crowd, when it was a smaller crowd, people got more room to get away. They can do shit in the dark and get away. The Biloxi, Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum was horrible for that because it was a huge building they only used half of, and it was fucking dark. And that's where that big farm kid took Bobby down and wiped out a row or two of ringside seats with him. But anyway, that's what happens in that case. But now that we've talked about this also, and I've sympathized with Seth's predicament because he couldn't have done anything else about it, it wasn't that violent an altercation, to be quite honest. This, as relates to the overall history of fan interactions and violence to wrestlers or whatever, this, except for the fact that he would have never been taken down in the territory days because everybody would have been looking. He would have had cops with him going down the aisleway. They would have seen something.
There was no open space like that.
If there was an open space, like I just said, in the back of an arena, you still had cops with you. And you were looking for this because you figured it would probably happen more often than not. Instead of not dreaming it was going to happen, the cops would have seen it. He would have been looking. So he wouldn't have got taken down. The guy could have charged and it would have been a little bit different. But besides him getting taken down, this was not that violent at all in terms of fan interaction. It was one lone guy. Nobody got hurt. And here's another thing. Nobody got hurt. The fucking security is more polite than it used to be, in my experience. That's another thing I was going to mention. The police. There were none. The referee crew got the guy. They were there on him for 30 seconds or more. I saw a guy with a headset, one guy in a suit. And when they had footage of the guy being walked out of the arena, it was one guy in a suit that was obviously of the private security company or whoever was contracted for this gig. The guy wasn't in handcuffs. The guy in the suit had a hold of his T-shirt and was walking him up the stairs to go out into the breezeway somewhere in the building. And that's how they took him out.
Well, that's nice of them.
And let me just explain that if that guy had just said, you know what? I got away with something already. I'm going to try for two, and turned around. He's not handcuffed, and the fucking guy walking him out of the building is on the fucking bleacher stairs under him. He could have turned around and fucking clocked him, and the guy wouldn't have stopped falling for 100 feet, and there the guy's gone. And why would you walk him out through the people? He's already established he's physically dangerous. I have never seen a fan attack any wrestler and not go straight back like where the boys go and back to the back to be detained until the cop cars pull up to the back door. And we've talked about they used to have the room in New Orleans at the downtown municipal auditorium. When the cops would bring somebody that had hopped in the ring or punched a heel or whatever, they'd bring him in the back and they'd put him in a room that was empty and about 10 feet square in this old municipal auditorium in New Orleans. And it was 3 feet from the back door, the stage door. And that fan would go in there and the cops would say, you wait right here, and they'd close the door. And when the heel that had been offended came back, they'd say, would you like to speak to him? And the said heel had the option to accept or decline. And if he accepted, then the cops opened the door. The heel went in to speak to the fan that had offended him while the cops waited outside. And when the heel came out, or if he was spending too much time in there, the cops might go. And then the heel would leave, and then the cops would go and get the guy and throw him out the back door in the fucking alley in the middle of one of the worst neighborhoods in New Orleans.
Surprised Watts didn't bonus guys if they let him go in their stead.
No, he usually didn't even make New Orleans because he was, it's a long way from Oklahoma. Point. But DiBiase's been in that room. Doc's been in that room. A bunch of people have been in that room. But again, the lack of police, uniformed police, this is where I'm going with this. Just because this wasn't particularly violent doesn't mean that sometimes some goof is going to escalate it. And that's why we always had in the territories, and I won't say always, because I've talked about the shitty podunk towns where somebody dropped the ball at a spot show or the fire department was going to be security or whatever. But in arenas, in the territories, the regular arenas that you ran on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, whatever, you had police in uniform. They didn't have to be on duty. Usually they probably weren't. They were off-duty police, but genuine police that had the right to wear the uniform. And they would be contracted by the building, by the arena, and paid by the promoter to be security. And they have the power of arrest, and they have the power to deal with violent situations. Like I said, now the security deals with drunk fans that are fighting over who seats who, or somebody's got a lewd sign, or somebody shoving somebody around over the memorabilia or whatever, or somebody wants to steal something. These police came to the matches with a full intent of stopping fans from getting in the ring and or attacking the wrestlers to and from. That was their, and guarding the box office. Those were the primary functions that the police had. Because also, if you were running a big building, you had ushers and you had ticket takers. They could show people where their seats were and shit, but you had somebody on the property, multiple people on the property, uniformed with a stick and a gun and handcuffs with the power of detainment and arrest. And they could also provide themselves as witnesses in court that were more well thought of than fucking Keister down the street, 3 beers in, I saw it. Well, this uniformed police officer over here saw it also, and he's used to testifying in court. So we'll put our livelihood in his hands. And that's what they need. I never saw a uniformed police, and somebody's going to say, oh, well, they should get Atlas security. And I've met those guys. They're very good. But unless I'm mistaken, they don't have the power to arrest or carry weapons. And when you have a private security company of any quality, high or low, involved in a serious situation, it sometimes goes worse for you in court and civil litigation, whatever, than if you have actual law enforcement on the premises. But it's been so long since people have needed it that they've just gotten out of the habit. It's complacency, and complacency is going to turn into culpability. Because I know we're never going to, have the issues that we had back in the day, but that still doesn't mean it's somebody like this fucking goof. I think you'll find out he's mental in some case, or feels like he was personally. It made the paper in Baton Rouge one time. I did the introduction of the Midnight Express. And when I got on the microphone, I told the people in the Centroplex, I said, you're the sorriest looking bunch of people I've ever seen in my life. And when the guy tried to attack me on the way back and jumped up on the rail and swung at me and missed, and I whacked him, ended up drawing back and whacking one of the cops. Dundee got on the guy and pulverized him, but nobody knew who Dundee was then because he was just booking. But in the newspaper, the guy's quote was, I personally insulted him by calling him sorry on the microphone. That's why he attacked me. You're going to get these people.
And nowadays you get a lot of people, quite frankly, just looking for attention, whether they're mentally ill or not. They're looking for clout. They're looking to go on Twitter and brag about it.
But that's, but as far as, I saw everybody talking about fan violence. I'm sorry to piss on everybody's parade with that, but no, this was not violent. The worst I ever saw in person, we've seen the Ox Baker Cleveland riot. And, I've seen a number of issues that I've been in and more with, I saw the guy hopping in the ring on Flair and Dusty that night in St. Louis, and the cops were standing in the back talking to each other. And I was like, hey, think y'all need to go up there and get that fucking guy in the ring? Oh, shit. And off they go. But the worst I ever saw was the time in Tulsa when the Internal Affairs Department got involved. And the thing is, these things can start real easy and get bad and out of control real quick. The Midnight Express wrestling the Fantastics, that was a period of time where they had banned my tennis racket in Mid-South. So the deal was, I think it was the finish, we're going to get disqualified. I was going to throw the belt off of my pants into Bobby and Dennis, and they were going to double clothesline Bobby Fulton with it, but the referee was going to catch him and DQ whatever we get out of there.
Did you have Hercules?
Did not have Hercules. He wasn't there at this point. Bye, Cracky. And see, here's the thing. He didn't go out on all of the matches with me anyway. If he was wrestling that night, I'd go out with him, but he wouldn't go out just on TV.
Okay.
Right?
And big shows like the Superdome or something.
We corrected that with Bubba. Bubba went everywhere with me. But anyway, I throw the belt in, and as soon as Bobby and Dennis shoot Bobby Fulton off for the double clothesline, I'm turning around to keep an eye, and I see the guy come over the rail at the far end. Oh, I've got time to roll in under the bottom rope because I want to get some ground on the guy, make them come into the ring. That's your first line of defense. As I roll in under the bottom rope, he's still coming. He jumps up on the apron and sticks his head, because the fans never know how to get in the ring, and that's where you can make your move. He sticks his head in through the second and top rope, like he's going to come in that way. And meanwhile, Dennis has looked around and saw, why is Corny rolling in the ring? He's not supposed to. Oh, there's somebody chasing him. He's coming behind me. I went to kick the guy, and he went to kick the guy, and we kicked him on opposite sides of his face at the same time. Boom. And down he went to the Eddie. And now he's busted open. And the cops grab him, and now the match is over, and we dive out. And I think to add to all of our other issues, I think that's where, was I still wearing the mask where I'd gotten my head shaved, but somebody got me in the face with a cup of beer, and I'm blind, so I'm grabbing a hold of Bobby. Now, I don't have the racket. Dennis still has my belt. He's got it wrapped around his fist. The people see that one of their own has been bloodied by the heels because they see him bleeding. So ringside comes up, and that gets everybody to start coming up because it starts spreading. And like we've proved in Altoona, once they see the heel has busted open one of the fans and he's bleeding, things escalate quickly. So the cops surround us, and they're trying to get us down the aisle, and that's where the people are pushing and shoving and trying to fight and trying to swing, and you're just swaying with it. And we're still going in the right direction, thank God. But this is also, again, in Tulsa, same thing that had happened a few times before. When you start losing cops, when they had their sticks out because people are becoming that violent and they're hitting people. But when you take a fan down, when one of the cops takes a fan down, the cop has to stay with that guy. So you start losing cops. And finally, they got us close enough. We were at the assembly center, not the fairgrounds. So we went underneath that breezeway entrance, or what do they call vomitorium? Is a word Bruce Pritchard used to love. The vomitorium, where it went out to where the locker room was in the back, and it's underneath the bleacher seats. The cops shove us through there, and they're still defending that area that the people are trying to come back through and get to us. So the cops have their sticks out and are defending that area that the public is not supposed to come in. And we're beat up and roughed up, and my tie's around my neck. And I look and see, and the guy that started the whole thing, the cops have brought him back there and leaned him up against the wall. He's sitting there and he's bleeding, and I don't know what they did to him, but he's not handcuffed, but he ain't going anywhere. And they told the old man, who was like 97 years old, looked like Burt Mustin. Look that one up, kids. It's hilarious. He said the old backdoor guard is sitting there watching this guy. I said, this is the motherfucker that started this whole thing that almost got all of us killed. So I run up and start putting the boots to him. And Bobby comes over and throws a kick too, and the old guard gets up, and it was like a referee distraction spot. I remember this so clearly to this day. The guard backs me and Bobby up. Like, now come on, guys, leave him alone. He's had enough. Dennis finally gets through and comes in behind us with the belt still wrapped around his fucking fist and grabs that guy by the top of his head with his left hand and just punched him right in the fucking face. So anyway, As we surveyed the scene, they had four. I know there were either 4 or 5 arrests total, but they had 3 or 4 more of the fans that had attacked the police trying to attack us, stacked up by the back door in handcuffs. They were bleeding, and there was a smear of blood down the concrete wall by the back door of the Assembly Center in Tulsa, starting about 5 feet up and going all the way down to where this guy was slumped over in the fucking on the concrete. And you heard the sirens, and they carted all these motherfuckers off to jail, and et cetera. And 2 weeks later, we come back, and there is the internal affairs investigator. They got in so much heat. This was 1984. I don't know if it was in the papers or not, if anybody wants to do research. But the Tulsa Police Department got so much heat for beating the bejesus out of all those people. Then one of them was the son of a highway patrolman that had got shit kicked out of him for trying to attack us. And they filed a complaint, and the internal affairs came down to interview everybody involved. And we said, hey, they were trying to protect our lives and defend us from being fucking lynched. So whatever they did to these people, in our opinion, was justified. And then the city police department got so much bullshit about it that they quit doing security at matches, and it was the sheriff's department, I think, after that. So it was just a big fucking, but that was some fucking violence, folks. That was good. After several of those incidents in Tulsa, that's the only town I ever tanked on purpose. We would show up. I'd go in the bathroom and slip my bulletproof vest on underneath my jacket. We'd get the finish from Dundee. I would cross my fingers that I had to do nothing and we were losing. And then I told the boys, I said, during the match, if y'all need me, I'll be right over now. And I would stand by the ring post and do nothing for the entire match until, if I was called for in the finish, I would begrudgingly do that. And then the people would be trying to fucking kill us after that. So I did everything I could to disappear in those matches after a while. I couldn't wait to get out of that fucking town alive. And one more thing, culpability, not complacency. Now that you know that it is possible that something like this is going to happen, WWE, AEW, anybody with a budget, I can't believe that it's going to be a budget thing to where they can't hire legitimate police at these buildings. Or if they don't want legitimate police, then how about just more security and put them on those corners in the back where somebody might think to jump over behind the lighting booth and nobody will see you because it's in the dark, and lay in wait or whatever. How about it's inexcusable that no uniformed security was on the fucking job within 60 seconds. It's inexcusable within 15 seconds, but with 60 seconds of this clip that I saw, they're on top. Seth is down. The clown is down, as Rene Goulet would say. And no security. Referees? Crew members? Cameramen? What if the guy had a knife? So, and I just want to bring this up. I got this February 13th, 1994. Knoxville Civic Coliseum, Smoky Mountain Wrestling event. It was not a matter of, do you want police there at your show with these buildings? It was a matter of, how many police would you like? Well, we'll like as few as we can get away with because we got to pay them, but we also wanted enough to do what they needed to fucking do. And on this particular day, this show, we had 3,900 people in the building. So besides 4 ticket sellers at $24 each, and 8 doormen at $24 each, and 1 usher captain at $30 each, and 1 rear door guard at $50. His name was Bill Delaney. We had 8 uniformed city Knoxville police officers. The 2 main cops at $56, and the 6 auxiliary cops at $48, which worked out to they get $12 an hour. This was almost 30 years ago, for 3,900 people. And that was Smoky Mountain Wrestling. You mean to tell me the WWE can't afford, when they're in a building with 5 or 10,000, they can't afford a couple? It's not about the budget. It's about they just don't think it's necessary. Well, apparently it is. So I think the complacency falls on everybody. The talent for not looking out because they don't think it's going to happen. The crew, the security that does exist. Everybody else, they don't think it's going to happen anymore. Everybody's with it. But culpability for this one doesn't fall on Seth for getting taken down from behind or anybody else, except if there was going to be a lawsuit out of this, the culpability for the attack happening, I would believe, would be with the promotional company, WWE, and the hosting arena, which was the Gimmick Center. Don't you think?
Well, if only Jim Seth Rollins had a great attorney on his side right now in his time of need.
You know, I think that because the man has been attacked. The man has been physically assaulted on national television in front of thousands of people, in front of millions of people. He's been taken down. He's been embarrassed. And the culpability lies with the arena. The culpability lies with the promotion. Folks, if you have been attacked, assaulted, harmed, or damaged by a greedy, avaricious billionaire who doesn't provide proper security or something else, I know who you can call.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Those are the rest.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not provided with proper police protection when you protrude yourself from your residence, or if you've been damaged in any other way, newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084. Stephen P. New is the man for you. We've said so many times here on the program that he defends the rights of the little guy. And in this case, Seth Rollins was the little guy who was put in a disadvantageous position by his greedy billionaire employer and by one of these nameless, faceless corporations that owns these major sporting arenas that did not provide him with proper security. Well, you could do the same thing. You can sue for the way that you've been damaged, harmed, or infringed upon. All you have to do is have the right man on your side, and Stephen P. New is that man. Whether it's the defective earplugs given to the servicemen, whether it's the cancer-causing agents in all kinds of our daily consumer goods, whether it's the vicious, evil corporations that do not want to pay their fair due, he brings them all to heel. And he will heal you too. So be healed with Stephen P. New, 888-692-8084, newlawoffice.com.
That's right, a great man, a man who helps out many members of the cult of Cornette. But Jim, you just talked about the Seth Rollins incident and many of the stories that you lived through in Mid-South Wrestling, and I think the stories of you beating up drunk Cajuns and cowboys was a lot more entertaining than whatever it is we watched that is called the Survivor Series.
Oh, boy, I wish somebody had been drunk, whether they got beat up or not. Maybe they would have had better ideas. I mentioned at the top of the program the trials and tribulations I went through trying to give Spectrum and in turn the WWE a bit of my money. Instead, I had to watch this thing on the cock, and what I did was I subtitled this Survivor Series 2021. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I don't know that this would have been necessarily bad if it was an episode of Raw or SmackDown or something
it would.
On free television. Well, it still would have. But this is one of the big major events, the pay-per-views or whatever they call them these days. I know they got a shit ton of money from The Rock's movie. What is the title of it? Red Notice? I believe that was drummed into our heads. I know they must have got a ton of money, but good golly, Miss Molly. From the cold open, where they just tied the movie in with various WWE highlights, and the feature of the gold egg, so we'd see that, but it was all tied together for no logical reason, except this movie is sponsoring us, so here's highlights of the movie with highlights of the WWE superstars. Is that what you got?
They thought they were going to have The Rock, and he probably at some point made them think that maybe he could do the date, and then he couldn't do the date. I believe he has a filming conflict, but they still did this like tribute to The Rock all throughout the show to make you think he was going to show up. It's the 25th anniversary of The Rock's debut. Here's more Rock. More Rock. Hey, look, The Rock gave Vince an egg. Let's show you The Rock's movie. You think it's building up to, and arriving now, it's The Rock. No, he was doing something else. He had something else to do.
Instead of making people believe The Rock was going to be there, it reminded people that, The Rock used to be here, and now look what we got. There were 15,120 easily pleased people in Brooklyn. And
well, you don't know that. And what I mean is, there are certainly people in the audience that are easily pleased and they just love WWE and they can't do anything wrong. But I think we saw, at times, an audience that was happy to just not do anything, but that does not stop the noise. For some reason, even though people are just sitting there, not making any noise, I mean, that you could see, like, mouths aren't opening, people are just staring ahead, no one's jumping up and down. You hear so much more, even though it's a live broadcast.
Somebody brought that up, that I saw it on pwinsider.com, folks, the reputable place for news, that Mike Johnson was actually in the arena, and somebody commented on a chant that they heard on the internet, or on the broadcast, and Mike Johnson said apparently it didn't happen in the arena. It was just on the broadcast. They've gotten so good. It used to drive me crazy 25 years ago when I worked there. I did commentary on the shows, whatever, because they were good. They were better than WCW of the 90s with sound sweetening and mixing. But still, sometimes you could tell when they were, getting creative with things. But now they've perfected this technology, and they had the Thunderdome, and they've got the loops and the chants and things. And you would think, if you didn't have eyes, that some of these matches are really tearing the house down.
Did you hear any AEW chants?
I did not.
What about CM Punk? Any CM Punk chants?
Well, now you alerted me that the match that I could not bear to sit through, that was over 30 minutes long, had some of those live, but did they come through on the broadcast?
I believe it was that match, but I heard from a few people who were in the building, and I think they said it was during that match specifically, which, as a match, not good. Not very good at all. But I heard from people that there were chants for AEW and CM Punk and various things that were drowned out on the broadcast by mysterious chants from beyond. Can I just real quick before we move on with the show?
Yes.
My Survivor Series notes, you take notes, I usually don't. Yes. I did for this one. I wrote 5 things down, my 5 takeaways from Survivor Series as they were happening. Number 1, The Rock. We just talked about that.
Yeah.
Number 2, mysterious chants. We talked about that. That's why I thought we should go through this now. Number 3, the camera work, which is so counterproductive and so bad. The moving too much, the switches nonstop. The guy throws a punch. By the time he lands the punch, it's a different camera shot.
Right.
It's so bad. Roman yelling at no one during the main event. I'm sure we'll get there. And then Vince's eye job and Botox.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about it now then. I'm not concerned about the eye job and the Botox. I started to say the bow job and the eye tox.
The bow job.
The bow job and the eye tox. What's happened to his voice? Is he losing some cognitive. He seemed like when he was sitting there talking, like when Roman Reigns came in the office and they shook hands, that he was staring off camera at either, is it I'd hesitate to say a cue card, or just is he looking at himself on a monitor, or he wasn't looking at the person he was talking to, and he mumbles,
Hey,
and he
doesn't
really
from the Rock.
Yes, it's grumbling and mumbling, and I mean, he used to be not only the forceful voice, but the get to the point voice, and now I'm struggling to understand what he's saying. So that worries me as far as it. And when he got out of the limo and he held the egg up, and
well, hold on. Someone listening may have no idea what you're talking about when you say the egg.
All right. Apparently, one of the plot points in the Red Notice movie is they've got this golden egg. And I don't know if it's the central thing in the theme of the movie or what. Maybe Alfred Hitchcock would call it the MacGuffin. It's just the reason for other things to happen. But the egg figured in the cold open because it figures in the movie. And then a limousine shows up, as you mentioned, and people are there. Well, maybe is it The Rock?
Maybe it's The Rock, the guy they've been building up the whole show.
Yeah, no, it's Vince. Vince gets out of the limo. But then there's a bunch of the talent that didn't make the card standing in the back, and as soon as they see it's Vince, they scream and yell and pop with the fakest "Yay, he's here" that you've ever heard in your life. And then he goes, wait. And he reaches in and he comes out with this egg, like he shows it like it's the goddamn, I don't know, the Ark of the Covenant. And then they don't pop right away, so he has to wave on camera, come on, and then they pop and scream again. And then he walks off like he's doing a parody of what Vince used to do. And so that's the egg. And then the egg is I guess we'll just get rid of all the egg business now, and then we'll just go through the matches. Later on, Roman Reigns comes into Vince's office. They shake hands. And that's where I mentioned Vince is mumbling and whatever, but he's talking about the egg was given to him by The Rock. And
$100 million.
He was
$100 million.
He was trying to tell and I've never heard Vince not be able to explain a story. Or this is the guy that could talk anybody in the wrestling business, including me. He's done it too. He could talk anybody in the wrestling business out of doing something they wanted to do, and instead make them want to do something that he wanted them to do. And now he can't convey this story. He was trying to say that The Rock came here, Roman's cousin, with $7 in his pocket, $7 Productions, and now he's a movie star. But at the same time, he gave Vince this egg. I swear to God, that Vince says the egg is worth $100 million. I guess The Rock could give somebody something worth a couple of $1 million and not really probably feel it too bad. But if he gave it to him 25 years ago or whatever, he just said he just had $7 in his pocket a minute ago. So when did he get this? After he became a movie star? Well, he hadn't been in the WWF. You see where I'm going. It made no sense. And it's $100 million egg is what Vince is saying. So they couldn't even say it's worth $1 million, which would have been fine for this because nobody's going to believe it anyway. But they have to really get the fucking scoff laughing going. So then later on, Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville are sitting in Vince's office, and Vince walks in with his red cell phone in his hand and sits down and starts talking to him and looks over, and the egg is gone. And I don't know what it is about Survivor Series and eggs with Vince. And it's not like they wrote this from scratch because the movie had to have an egg in it. But the movie came out with an egg in it. Perfect time to sponsor Survivor Series. So 35 years after they laid the first egg, they could lay another one. And so now the egg is gone. And he tells Cruella DeVille and Adam Pearce, well, if you can't find the egg, then everybody has to get together, all the stars from Raw and SmackDown tomorrow. And I'm saying this with more forcefulness than he did. And we're going to get to the bottom of this, and I'm going to find my egg, my $100 million egg. Can you believe this? No, we can't, Vince.
And it turns out when he's looking for his $100 million egg, that's his nickname for Linda.
Hey! I would think she would be the $100 million anchor. But anyway, so this fucking egg is worth $100 million and is missing, and they tease on a pay-per-view, they tease the resolution on Raw the following night, which basically, let's go ahead and reveal the climax of this ridiculousness. They had everybody going through looking like idiots, trying to find this $100 million egg and looking for it. Everybody's got to play along with this thing. And then apparently Austin Theory just walked into Vince's office and said, "Hey, Vince, I want to take a selfie with the egg. I got it. It's right here." Oh, well, I like the cut of your jib. They
contract.
They put him in a title match.
Title match. Biggie on title match on Raw.
And that was the dispensation of it. That was it. Oh my God, line him up and shoot him at sunrise. He stole my $100 million. Oh, you wanted a selfie? Okay. You got guts. Here's a title match.
Thank you for my egg. Egg. I got to stop doing that voice. What to say to you, Austin Theory stole the egg. This is a big moment, like who ran over the Rock and, all these various mysteries in wrestling. Do you think, you talked about what you saw in Austin Theory when we started watching him in NXT.
Yeah.
Before all the silliness and whatever he's wearing now, when we just saw the raw talent as it was appearing on NXT. Obviously, Vince sees something in him.
Yeah.
Is that what this is? Is this Vince's way of saying, I see something in you, take my egg. Like, we'll do this on TV.
I guarantee you
Why would they do
is.
this? What is this?
I guarantee you it is. And now you see, a lot of people have seen the danger of Vince not seeing anything in them. Now you see the danger of Vince seeing something in you. Because, again, I said Austin Theory all around from top to bottom from what I saw in NXT for a guy, what is he, 21 years old or whatever the case?
He's young, yeah.
The best instincts, timing, basics, flawless, fucking execution of shit. He's a prodigy. He's got the size, he got the look, he got the swagger to him. So, yeah, he's a future superstar. And, say what you want about Vince. Even if he's in the advanced stages of brain rot, he's seen a lot of wrestling talent. He can still see it. So now the problem is he's probably seen this in Austin Theory also, and he's decided this is the way that he might get him over. I don't. Hopefully, we've seen the last of the egg. Certainly, we've seen the last of the egg.
I love my egg, Rock. It's like they just pushed him onto the set. Here, go this way. Sit down. Now read these cards. It's like Bob Hope. He's looking at the cue cards.
Oh my God! Hey, toward the end, they were contractually. Do you know what story I'm going to tell?
I think so, but
they were contractually obligated on the Tonight Show to bring Bob Hope out once or twice a year, whenever, because Bob Hope was NBC for 20 years, right? But then Johnny Carson took over as Bob's health was failing and the ratings were going down on the holiday specials and the tributes to the troops and everything. And Hope was both nearly deaf and surly on these appearances. So Carson hated it and would then finally had to have Hope on when there were guest hosts because he couldn't get a flow of a conversation with him because Hope either couldn't hear him or didn't want to answer the question and was just grumpy with everybody. And it appears that Vince is entering that stage of the fucking game.
I gotta tell you. Egg.
So Austin got the egg. But back to Survivor Series. Why didn't they either put Charlotte and Becky on last or just end the show after their match? And they got so much better feedback.
This completely killed my interest for everything else on the show that they started with this. What about you?
Yes. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know everything else it was going to be downhill from there, but I should have predicted. This was from top to bottom, again, exactly what it should have been. They did the history package of their rivalry. Both girls come off not only looking like stars, but two of the best promos of the female category, and they were serious about it. And Becky says she's going to beat the ever-loving piss out of Charlotte. I did notice at the top of the program, why are both sides of Michael Cole's head shaved, but he still has long hair on the top of his head?
Because he's a moron?
Is he trying to make his head look less fat?
Maybe it's that.
All right. Anyway, next 2 more inches, it's a mohawk, Michael. What are you fucking doing? Anyway, so they started in right at the bell, Becky and Charlotte. Boom, the big fight. And Becky was, of course, the big-time babyface in this to the people. That might not necessarily be the way they've tried to present her, but they were pulling hair and playing rough. They were not having an MMA shoot, and they were not doing ridiculous cooperative high spots. They were working a rough and uncooperative fight and struggling to get shit. And that's exactly what they should have done, because the buildup of this thing and how people know they're off of each other and they're not friends anymore. They've had the issues, but they couldn't go out and try to go for arm bars or like a shoot, because that's not what they do, and it would have looked ridiculous. But it was 2 girls having an uncooperative fucking struggle to get shit, which is kind of what we said last week on one of the shows, is what a lot of stuff in the old days used to look like when you were in with somebody you didn't necessarily like, but you respected them professionally. You weren't going to take unprovoked cheap shots while the guy had opened himself up to you, but you were going to make him struggle to get shit because you wanted to look good too. That's kind of the flavor of this. I love that Becky pushed Charlotte off the top to the floor when she was going for her moonsault, and she goes instead face first into the barricade. But then Charlotte immediately, as Becky is coming, immediately drops Becky on the barricade after she just took that big bump. They just, it was a little rushed, but they crawled into the ring with the mean faces and started slapping the piss out of each other. And Charlotte did that modified gotch lift on Becky and got a 2 count. And they traded some taters. If all girls matches were like this, I would watch them, because they weren't just running through pre-arranged choreographed spots here. They were working. Becky was going for her arm bar at first, and Charlotte was trying to stop her. And then later on, Charlotte would go for the leg, for the figure 4, whatever. But it was a fight. I enjoyed it to the point where I wasn't just sitting here, making notes. Then finally, Becky got the figure 4 on Charlotte, but Charlotte reversed it, and the fans were into it. At least I heard them, but it seemed like they were liking this as well when you would see the fans. Charlotte finally did the moonsault off the top and mostly missed, unfortunately, but we could have bought it that she got her with the elbow because they went down in a heap, but she doesn't have to do that one every single time. But finally, they traded the chops. Boom, boom, boom. And then suddenly, Charlotte gets the roll up and hold the rope, but the referee catches it. And as he's admonishing her, then Becky rolls through on the roll up and holds the ropes, and the referee counts 3. Out of nowhere, after that great of a match, is a little flat on that one, but the match was almost 20 minutes and it flew by. I didn't get tired of it, which I can barely say about almost any matches from any company anymore. But I thought the finish was a little but Becky was going to win. They had to have Becky win. So it's, I'm not going to harp on it, but it's been done many times, many ways. Merry Christmas to you. What'd you think?
You said the match was flying by. Leaves are right now flying by the window of the office here in Last Manor as the gardener appears to have picked. Now is the moment. He's going to get all the leaves off the property. Thanks, gardener.
Hey, Ollie, what's the weather forecast?
Oh boy, this is loud. Well, I apologize that it sounds like I'm in Vietnam right now, ladies and gentlemen. I thought the match was good. You know, starting the show off with it, boy, it's fucking loud. Starting the show off with it, I don't know if I should be yelling or that. I can't hear anything. Starting the show off with this.
I'm Robin Leach on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. I'm screaming and I don't know why.
It was a blessing and a curse because nothing else on the show could live up to this. And also, I don't know, because they started with it right away, it kind of killed any anticipation day of for it. And he's right outside the window, so I will turn it back to you and I'll reserve thought for later.
But yes, why don't you reserve your thoughts? I got it so quiet now. I feel like E.F. Hutton just spoke. That's once you saw this, because the other stuff, people were ready for this. There was a personal issue. Imagine that. Personal issues draw money. And the people were ready for this. And once they saw it, was there a personal issue in the men's 5 versus 5 elimination? Was there a personal issue in the female? Well, there were some, but who gives a shit? Because there's 10 people out there. The Usos, Orton and Riddle, come on. They underestimated, I think, the interest, not only that people would have in this match, but also the quality of the match and the other stuff having to follow it. And now they're going close to 4 hours with 6 matches. The break in between each match where they'll show you commercials and packages and every other kind, and egg hunts. And then the entrances, when one match is over with, it's sometimes 15 minutes or more before another one starts. And it's a slog to get through.
Do you think this is what the match should have been, though? I mean, obviously they have to work together, so you have to work together, but should it have been anything more intense? Is there anything it was missing?
No, because they couldn't go out and have a shoot. Like, to work a shoot like 2 guys, especially. Well, and a lot of guys can't work a shoot these days, but amongst somebody with a vaulter, or somebody like a Kurt Angle with those skills, or somebody with a high-level MMA background that can translate it to wrestling, not like Junior Dos Santos trying to pull punches and he couldn't hurt Aunt Lola. They might have gone for a shorter, more intense worked shoot, but this is not, and everybody knows it's neither Charlotte's nor Becky's background. I'm not saying they're neither one athletes, and Charlotte was a high-level, I guess, volleyball player and etc., but they don't have 15 years of Gracie jiu-jitsu in their background. So the people were waiting to see a testy, contested, worked match. Is it going to break loose like Charlotte and Nia Jax did, where they just start slapping each other? There were stiff shots taken. I think they did what they could do with it. And they took some liberties with each other, probably agreed to beforehand, because each one of them probably wanted to be able to do the same thing. So we'll work like that.
Well, Jim, if I may say something from here in Beirut, I just want to say...
Are you coming in now? I can hear you.
Can you hear me? I just want to say...
You have to report on the aircraft carrier.
I just want to say that perhaps Charlotte Flair and Becky can remember the good times with a fine oil painting.
Well, that would be perfect if they could do that, and they could caption it in happier times. And I know exactly where they could get one. Our friends at Paint Your Life, folks, our fine friends at paintyourlife.com, and a team of world-class artists that work with them can take any photograph or combination of photographs and make a truly unique and personal gift for the holidays for that special person in your life this season. You can bring generations of your family together, even if they were never in the same place at the same time. You can have a cherished pet painted, or a beloved vacation spot, or any type of thing. If you've got a photograph, they can transfer it into a fine quality oil painting from a team of world-class artists. If your grandmother always wished that your grandfather could have been around to have a picture together with all the grandkids, now they can do that at Paint Your Life. All you got to do is go to paintyourlife.com, choose from a team of world-class artists, work with them on the details, order a custom-made, hand-painted portrait, and get that portrait in about 3 weeks. It's meaningful, personal. It can be cherished forever and loved and hugged and squeezed and called George. It makes the perfect holiday gift for somebody you love, or if you love yourself, you can get one of these for yourself also. Hey, self-love, we're all in favor of it. If you love yourself up to 5 times a day, you can still have a fine quality painting from Paint Your Life. And right now, at paintyourlife.com, there is no risk, because if you don't love the final painting, your money is refunded. And right now, as a limited time going into the holidays, the big offer, get 20% off your painting and free shipping. 20% off your painting and free shipping. All you got to do to get the special offer, text the word DRIVE, D-R-I-V-E, to 64,000. That's DRIVE to 64,000 for 20% off and free shipping. This incredible holiday gift for some loved one, or even actually if you want to have a painting yourself, giving somebody the finger and send it to somebody you don't like, I bet they do that too. Text DRIVE to 64,000. Paint your life. Celebrate the moments that matter most.
That's right. And I'm here, of course. You can hear in the background the Enola Gay rolling down the tarmac. Captained by Colonel Paul Tibbets. Well, what else was on Survivor Series?
Since you're getting ready to transport this bomb, I'll finish dropping it for you. They had a nice Drew McIntyre history profile, the rise and fall and rise again and potentially fall again of Drew McIntyre. Then they went with the men's 5 versus 5 elimination. Bobby Lashley, Austin Theory, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins on the Raw team. And remember, we did a preview of this and said, boy, SmackDown sounds like they're going to be in bad shape. And that came to pass. The SmackDown team, King Xavier Woods, Jeff Hardy, Sheamus, Happy Corbin, and Drew McIntyre. But it wasn't as one-sided as that would lead you to believe. After the 14 minutes of entrances for this match, the very first thing happened was Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins got in an argument because they were teammates, and Kevin Owens got all fired up and went to start and then said, you know what, and rolled out and took a walk and got counted out. So he didn't want to participate at all. Did he not do that a while back on another one of these? Was it last year's Survivor Series or some other time where he was placed in a situation where he didn't want to be in and he just, or was it somebody else did the same thing?
I'm not exactly sure. It sounds like him. His gimmick is that he's difficult, I think.
Yeah, well, yes. And boy, talk about living your gimmick. So anyway, Austin Theory got a chance to do some things, body language, facial, selling like a heel, timing. He's tremendous. Rollins athletically is a step above most everybody on the roster, as we've mentioned many times, and just what they've done with his various multiple personalities leaves a lot to be desired. Sheamus, I noticed even in this company especially, looks like a radiation mutant. Have you, like, he looks like some one-celled amoeba that would crawl from the pond somewhere that has been radiated and form into a human-like shape, but he would still be translucent and you'd be able to see through him. It was very, very mutantish. Jeff Hardy at one point tagged into the match, clapped his hands, get the people clapping, and tagged back out. Which, as we saw, may have been the best use of Jeff in this company. Every time I see Jeff Hardy, I think he's going to hurt himself. He looks like he might be in pain. He doesn't take any of his bumps early in the match. He saves a couple, like the Swanton, for at the end, but he always looks like he's wearing a full bodysuit. I don't know whether he's going to crack into pieces or not. Do you get that impression?
I guess. I hadn't thought of it that way.
He doesn't. I mean, because all the injuries he's had and all the bumps he's taken and however old he is now, I can't remember. Probably closing in on 45, isn't he?
If him staying here means we don't get the Hardy Boys in AEW, please stay here. That's my.
Oh, well, I'm not suggesting he fucking leave. I just worry about it. But anyway, there was a point there suddenly for no reason in the match. Everybody jumped in and just started hitting moves on the next guy in turn. Bing, 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 bing. And finally, Balor hit the double stomp on hapless Corbin, so we got rid of him. And then they got heat on Jeff Hardy, but it was very slow. And you could tell they're not picking him up and planting him, often. Suddenly they're getting the heat on Jeff Hardy, and then Lashley ran Drew McIntyre into the ring post and put him out, and Jeff hot tagged Woods, and Woods made a comeback, but suddenly Lashley just speared him and put the hurt lock on him. So there's the king of the ring. Boom, done. And I'm not even mad at Xavier Woods, but it's just, they just decide, well, somebody's been in the middle of the card or a tag team or whatever for all of it. We'll make that guy the champion in 2 weeks. We'll make that guy the king of the ring, and everybody gets a turn. They had a big sloppy 6-way with everybody that was left in this thing, and everybody got wiped out, as so that they could get McIntyre and
You
Lashley.
manage him? You managed him, McIntyre, right?
No, that was Mantar.
Oh,
that was
that's
his
right. That's
cousin Mantar. McIntyre, God damn it, McIntyre and Lashley go face to face, and forever they just stood there. And then they had a kind of an awkward fight. I think it's a Styles clash. And then they just planted it. Lashley would plant him, and then McIntyre would come back up and plant him. And they fought out onto the floor and went over the barricade, and both of them got counted out. They were on the floor. And again, I'm screaming, why is nobody counted out? And why do they just act like they can go out there and spend all day? This was the shortest period of time that two guys have been fighting on the floor since I've been watching wrestling the last fucking year, and they got counted out. And the people hated it. You could hear that they were booing at first. I don't know how long they booed. Maybe they did something about it, but they hated that particular finish, that both guys get counted out after being on the floor for a fraction of the time that they see people in regular matches getting away with it every fucking day, right? So that's where you lead to shit like this. When you do a finish that's correct after a long period of time of not doing the correct finish, the people don't like the correct finish. Not that this one was set the world on fire to begin with, but they get the people to start booing when somebody actually enforces the rules. So then, besides the fact that flattened the match out and made both guys look fairly stupid, then they had more people do more stuff. Sheamus beat Balor 1, 2, 3. Theory's got a great drop kick. And they were left with Rollins and Theory against Sheamus and Hardy. And Hardy had barely been involved at that point. And I thought, okay, Rollins and Theory are going to win this thing. That elevates Theory to the level of Rollins, who's been a main event guy there for some time. They're both youthful. Theory, obviously, more than Rollins, but they'll look good together. And that helps elevate Austin Theory, right? And Sheamus has been around forever, so's Jeff Hardy. It ain't going to hurt them. They're getting beat. That's where I'm already looking, right? Well, then it started going at a snail's pace, and old Sheamus cold-tagged Hardy, who made a blah comeback, and everybody got mixed up and in each other's way. And I was just starting to write, this will not end. Why don't they go home? And Theory suddenly beat Sheamus by holding his tights. That was fine. And then Sheamus gets up and knocks Theory out, and then turns around and knocks Hardy out. What the? So now we've switched complete attention from, isn't this going to get Theory over by him and Rollins winning this thing, to why the fuck did old Sheamus just knock out his opponent and his partner? But then Rollins frog splashes Hardy, which would have been perfect way. Okay, then there's your victory. He gets a 2 count. Hardy kicked out. Well, it was there. It was fucking there. But no. Theory and Rollins go for a double superplex on Jeff Hardy. Hardy foils it and hits a swanton on Austin Theory. 1, 2, 3. Seriously. So basically what's happened here is the guy that he's iconic, Jeff Hardy. He's not going to get any less over, but he's not going to get any more over. And it would have been a perfect position for him to get beat by these two young guns. Instead, Sheamus hits him with a knockout blow, and Rollins frog splashes him, and he kicks out of that and turns around and beats Theory, even though he looks like he's ready to break in half. And now it's down to Rollins versus Jeff. And finally, Jeff hit a twist of fate and then went for the swanton, and Rollins raised his knees and then hit the curb stomp. 1, 2, 3, and it was over then. Past 30 minutes into this thing. So Jeff Hardy ended up getting beat, and Rollins is one that beat him. But they couldn't do it on that fucking little swerve and the frog splash. They had to let Hardy beat poor old Austin Theory first, and then... Did that make any sense?
It made none, and as soon as you said that, the chopper started up again. It's become...
Are you shooting the opening? Are you shooting the opening to MASH over there?
I'm starting to think this episode was written by Dante, because this is certainly a divine comedy. But, you know, this match was a problem for me because I hated it, and I tried to figure out exactly why, and there's so many reasons why. But, you know, one of the problems is Austin Theory, here's a guy with a lot of talent, and he's young. His outfit is the worst outfit I've ever seen. I don't know what they have him. He's like ready to float in water. I don't know what he's doing over there. But it didn't make any of these guys on the roster feel younger or anything feel more happening, having someone young there. He just felt like another one of those guys to me. And I'm sorry, the Jeff Hardys and the Sheamuses, and there's a lot of guys there who have been there for a long time. And even if they took a break and came back, they've been there for a long time. I don't know if I could ever be interested in Sheamus ever again. And there's a lot of Sheamuses there. I'm using him as a case in point. I've been seeing this guy for 10 years, 15 years, I don't even know how long. Working for the same company, being recycled time after time after time, working with a lot of the guys in this match over and over and over again. It's hard for me to be interested in a lot of what's happening in WWE. And you watch this, and there are guys who are technically sound, but they're in the middle of circus wrestling. Like a different style of wrestling. It doesn't feel live. Like you watch AEW, and I hate to compare things to AEW, and then everyone accuses me of being an AEW fanboy.
Oh yeah, well we're all on the payroll anytime we say anything good. Yeah,
exactly. But it feels live. You know what I mean? Like it just feels like WWE. It feels so canned even when it's live, and I just can't get into it. And I didn't like this match, and I couldn't get into the match, and I'm bored with a lot of this. Hope that made some sense.
It did, and the only thing that didn't make sense is why that all these matches have to go on forever.
Forever. They don't end.
Forever.
Yeah.
So. After that, we got Booker T selling credit cards and Cricket wireless spots. And then Vince coming out of the limousine that we referred to earlier with the golden egg.
Egg.
He should have brought the goose.
No egg. I think egg's like one of the only words he can remember. So they probably said, what does Vince want for breakfast? Egg. So, okay, you know what? He likes eggs. Let's do some kind of golden egg thing. So that way people won't pick up on the fact that he's out of his mind. And it won't scare the shareholders.
I guarantee you Bruce Pritchard was going around the building all day going, gobbledygook, gobbledygook. He used to love that.
The Rock, $100 million egg.
Well, they had another. Sound like Gordon Soley now. The 25th anniversary, another Rock clip that was sprinkled all through the show. And then Reigns was in the office and the $100 million egg. And I got the impression that Vince is not mentally or physically, one or the other, or potentially both, as sound as he used to be. And then the Rock's 25th anniversary 25-man battle royal. I bet the next 5 guys on the roster wish he'd started 30 years ago so they could have got a payoff too. They started in the ring with 20 guys in there or so already with the red and the blue T-shirts that make them all look like interchangeable nitwits. And they showed entrances on Sami Zayn and AJ Styles and Almost and Ricochet, and they weren't wearing the colored shirts because apparently they, they got approval to go ahead and wear their shit because they're somewhat considered stars. And then here comes the Street Profits out carrying boxes of Pizza Hut pizzas, and everyone entered past tables with boxes of Pizza Hut pizzas, and they did an extended bit at the top of the match with the Pizza Hut pizzas with the Street Profits, and
they're in Brooklyn and they're hawking the worst pizza in the world. How about that? Well, the third worst.
No,
Papa John's,
Little
Domino's.
Caesars.
Oh, you're right. Little Caesars is awful. That's not even pizza. It's just garbage.
But and I don't even care whether they put toppings on it. It's still bad. So what I did was I decided I'll skip 10 minutes ahead and see if they've gotten rid of the pizza yet. And I skipped 10 minutes ahead, and this was the one match they knew. They said, we can't let this thing go a half an hour. It almost was in the process of dumping everybody and finally dumped Ricochet. He got 12 eliminations, according to the announcers. This was the best Battle Royal performance that I've seen since Giant Gonzalez.
We're going to make him a star, a big star, just a big shining egg for WWE.
Well, almost ain't ready. And I don't even think he's almost ready. And he's big. But again, this is, Andre the Giant was in the business for 6 years before anybody even saw him up in Montreal. There's a reason for that.
I know we watch some of their stuff and we see various things, and we have a pretty good idea who the top guys on the card are. There were other guys in this match who were gigantic. I have no idea who any of them were. There was another, Dabo Kato was in there, whatever his name is.
No,
General Sleaze.
General Sneeze.
Yeah, he was in there. And then there was some other guy that was like, I hate to say, another 7 foot tall guy. But I think there was another guy that was like almost 7 feet tall.
Hey. And after the match, AJ Styles went to get the pizza. They've just won the 25th anniversary Rock Battle Royal, but he's concerned about the cold Pizza Hut. He went to get the pizza, and Montez Ford knocked him out and grabbed the pizza and started opening up all the pizza boxes and throwing the pieces of pizza out to the crowd. What the fuck? Number one, is anybody going to fucking eat it if they catch it? And number two, you can see it's limp, wet pizza, and everybody knows that limp Pizza Hut fucking pizza, because it's like it's on a cracker. It's like it's on a saltine cracker. It's at the start, but then once it gets soggy enough that it gets limp, shit's going to be flying in every direction, toppings off that thing. He's just throwing them out into the crowd.
That's a hard thing to catch, too. It's not like a ball. A ball you could reach up and try to grab one hand or two hands. It's just a triangle being thrown at you like a Frisbee. How are you supposed to catch that?
So I'm sure that pizza arrived ready to eat, and then he was eating some himself, stuffing it in his mouth. Just this whole thing gave me ptomaine. The whole match, the 25th anniversary Battle Royal. So yeah, again, you can say, yes, that's Vince's way of getting almost over, as he got 12 eliminations. I had, again, Giant Gonzalez flashbacks. Usos against Orton. And by the way, all of the matches that were not the elimination matches of the Battle Royal, but the straight matchups were champion versus champion, even though none of the belts were on the line. So you're having the champion of each of your organizations, your brand split, face each other. Somebody's got to win, but the belts aren't even on the line. So is there a better way that we can devalue everybody? Or is this pretty much the best way you can think of to devalue at least half of your match?
I don't think there's anyone in the history of wrestling as talented as WWE management and Vince McMahon specifically at devaluing wrestlers.
Well, the Usos competed against Randy Orton and his bro, and Orton has set the record for most pay-per-view matches in WWF history. Apparently, with this one, he beat Kane. And he did it, Orton did this on a pay-per-view where his tag team partner farted ass pigeons on their entrance. So we've got to remember that. It's a historic occasion. And Lance Storm brought something up that is very, very intriguing. They said Randy Orton with this match had the most pay-per-view matches in WWF/WWE history by beating the old record set by Glenn Jacobs, Kane, right? Did they count the 2 pay-per-view matches, as Lance Storm brought up, that Glenn Jacobs had as the fake Diesel and or Isaac Yankem? Or did they just count Kane, in which case Orton has still got 1 more to tie and 2 to win? Interesting, is it not?
Yeah, there's this kind of WWE trivia minutia that I just love.
Well, as soon as the Usos and Orton and Riddle started, I wrote, I must make a sandwich. And then, no, I paused it. And Pat McAfee had a nice OVW plug. He wanted to mention Rip Rogers' name because Rip is the one that started training him. But you could tell he couldn't. But he mentioned something about the OVW. Oh, God, what word did he use? He was trying to basically say one of the guys at OVW that used to train these guys when they knew what they were doing. Anyway, I zoned out on a lot of this because Riddle annoys me to no end with his awkward movements and his weird expressions. But again, I don't see these tag team matches as being great tag team matches. I see Randy Orton and Riddle doing their stuff, and I see the Usos. I like the Usos as the stooge family of Roman Reigns. I haven't seen the Usos be a great tag team, but maybe it's because they're wrestling fucking makeshift, dipshift tag teams like Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. This was almost 20 minutes bell to bell, and finally the finish was snazzy. Orton hit Uso with an RKO as Uso was coming off the top with a big splash onto Riddle. And Orton jumped up, and I can't remember which Uso, but caught him with the RKO. Boom, 1, 2, 3. That's a surprise finish. That's a big boom, a big pop, a big oomph. Not just, let's trade holes and then I'll get one on you and I win. But I don't see gripping matches demonstrating the tag team art from either one of these teams. What do you think?
No, this isn't for me. I like the Usos a lot better when they're not wrestling for some reason. And then I see their matches, and their matches are those matches that may be better if it wasn't filmed by WWE. Because they do so much stuff fast that those camera cuts just kill their matches for me. And I can't fairly evaluate them. I'm not a Matt Riddle fan. I'm not even much of a Randy Orton fan at this point. I didn't think very much of this.
Then we will move along, skipping the part where Cruella DeVille and Adam Pearce were in the office with Vince when he realized the egg was gone. The egg is gone! I wrote, Vince comes in huffing and mumbling. He's trying to do it again, but he's mumbling. Anyway, and not looking anyone directly in the eye either, it doesn't seem like. Which used to be a big thing with Vince. He'd stare a hole in you. Now he's just kind of looking around. I don't know.
Someone shoot him full of amphetamines. That would help. I'm serious. That would help. Some energy for a little bit.
Whoa, how old is Vince now?
If he's going to appear on camera looking like a corpse, they got to do something.
Somebody to shoot him full of amphetamines?
Yes. Hey, doctor. I don't mean like some jerk on the street.
You want a doctor like for Michael Jackson.
Or Dr.
Get Vincent
Zorian.
Propofol.
I didn't say that. I said amphetamines, something to give him a little pep in his step.
The doctor gave Michael Jackson the propofol, and it didn't work out well. Just because it's a doctor giving a 78-year-old man a shot of amphetamines.
Okay, fine.
Energy for a television program?
Could someone inject B12 into his neck? That way it's not amphetamines, it's something all natural. That gives you energy, a little kick. That's what he needs.
I wish we had a goddamn product that fit this week. That'd be a natural transition.
Well,
but
part of the problem with Vince, if you look at his face and you look at what's going on, you hear his voice, I think it's his diet. Now, you've always talked about what he liked to eat for lunch, and he's a rather pedestrian eater, I guess we should say.
Bland. He doesn't eat for enjoyment. He just eats because he has to for fuel. He gets it over with as quickly as possible.
So let's forget amphetamines. And let's forget
them.
And let's forget B12.
Forgetting the amphetamines and B12.
Something simple that Vince doesn't need a doctor. He could just have shipments sent right to Titan Towers or whatever room they put him in.
Well, wait a minute now. Last time he had shipments sent to some of the buildings, he had trouble. But you're talking about different products.
Maybe he could have it sent to someone else, like the Warrior. I really don't know how this works. But perhaps everything would change for the better for Vince McMahon and us, the viewers of WWE programming, if he would just embrace nuts.com.
I was thinking about that because you want something that gives you energy, that's good for you, that's good for your internal organs and your systems. And these all natural and delicious nuts from nuts.com, why he could just pick up all kinds of energy by just reaching his hand in his pocket and popping a couple in his mouth, because nuts.com is the best kept secret of savvy snackers across the country.
Yeah.
And now, got it. And new customers can get 10% off. Folks, it's the holiday time. And in the holidays, not only does everybody go nuts, but they want nuts. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Harley Quinn nipping at my nose. See, stuff like that. Well, you need the chestnuts, but you don't need to roast them over an open fire because they'll roast them for you at nuts.com. You can get ahead of your holiday gifting with customizable trays and a wide assortment of gifting options, all delivered in beautiful baskets. Nutritious, delicious, healthy nuts, dried fruit, flowers, grains, and so many other high-quality foods, white chocolate toffee cashews, honey sesame sticks, dried mangoes, the chocolate gummy bears, all the raw, organic, roasted, salted, and candied nuts, even chocolate dipped, all that you could want, delivered fresher than the supermarket. Most orders ship the same day, get to you the next day. And they've got the baking mixes, the pasta, the pantry items. You don't have to leave the house. You'll have the whole family fixed up for the holidays. And maybe we can even get Vince some energy. Nuts.com is the place to go for over 4,000 of these products. And you're going to have to text again, folks. If you're a new Nuts.com customer and you want 10% off your first order, text EXPERIENCE. I'll spell it EXPERIENCE, experience to 64,000. Experience to 64,000. 64,000 is getting a lot of business these days. 10% off your first order at nuts.com when you text experience to 64,000. Terms apply. Available at nuts.com/terms. Boy, howdy, go nuts for the holidays.
That's right. And WWE, of course, went nuts for their holiday tradition. Well, actually, it's not anymore. It used to be on Thanksgiving. Now it's just around Thanksgiving. The Survivor Series, what was after the previous debacle on the show?
Well, the next debacle, and by the way, remember it was Thanksgiving, and then they went to the night before Thanksgiving, which was bizarre and odd, and I hated. But I was Survivor Series 93, I think it was. I was it San Antonio or somewhere in Texas on the night before Thanksgiving, and me and the Heavenly Bodies had to fly back to Knoxville, Tennessee, get in the car, and drive to Hazard, Kentucky for Thanksgiving night. That was a thrilling trip, and we made it, by cracky, because we did back in those days. Well, the next thing on the Survivor Series was the aforementioned match that I said, no, I'm throwing the towel in. And you could imagine it was the women's elimination match. From entrances to finish, this thing was almost 35 minutes.
Well, to be fair, it felt no longer than 3 hours.
I don't know. Well, I can't say that it felt that long to me because I didn't watch it. But I wouldn't have watched that whole thing at that length if Rhea Ripley had not only won, but wrestled the whole match naked. Well, I lied there. I would have watched it if she'd have wrestled the whole match naked, but not even if she was just going to win. And she didn't win. So after almost 35 minutes of that, then we got another 10 minutes of commercials, bullshit, and a Big E history package. And that prefaced the cataclysmic main event of champion versus champion, but with no championships on the line. Big E versus Roman Reigns, just to make one of these people subservient to the other. And there were nearly 10 minutes of entrances here for a single match. And that's why I wrote, I got to come back to this tomorrow because I was worn out. 3 hours into this show, the main event is just starting, and it's taking them 10 minutes to get in the ring. So I didn't want to just shit all over it, so I stopped and I came back to it earlier this morning. Now I'll shit all over it with a fresh mind. No, here's the thing. This was not a bad wrestling match. Big E is not a bad wrestler. He's strong and agile. He worked his ass off. His work seems to be good. It doesn't seem to be dangerous. They just have not gotten him there with the booking and the way that he's been presented. And I know a lot, oh, look at all the time they've pushed the New Day. That's the problem. Look at all the time and the way they push the New Day. All the unicorn vomit and the pancakes and the cereal and the leprechauns and whatever. Yes, they were fine and they're over as a tag team unit, but I'm sorry, you can't just split a guy out of that, make one of them the new world champion on one of your brands and the other one the king of the ring in that length of time and have people buy it. And Vince and Bruce Pritchard know that better than anybody. Laurinaitis wasn't around in the WWE when the business was its hottest there, but at one point in time, from 96 to 2004 or 5, just that period, you had multiple people at the top of the card that could win the world title at any time, could be taken by the fans as a world champion level guy. I mean, you had Taker, Shawn, Brett, Foley, or Austin, Rock, Triple H, or Cena, Orton, Batista, or combinations of many of those people all at the same time. Right now, for most of the fans, in their mind, Roman Reigns might lose to Brock Lesnar, but nobody else. So this match, as a Survivor Series main event, as a wrestling match, it was very good. As a Survivor Series main event, or as a world title match, or as a match between world champions with a title not on the line, I'm sorry, do you think anybody saw this competitive or couldn't figure the finish ahead of time?
I couldn't imagine why anyone wouldn't be able to figure out the finish. Or who would go over, I should say.
Who would win, not the actual manner in which they did it. And that's the thing. I mean, it was a good match. It was a little long again, but this would be a classic television match, Raw match, SmackDown match. Nobody bought that Big E was going to win this. That spear he does through the ropes is scary. He hit Reigns with that, and Reigns recovered and speared him right afterwards. It's like as soon as somebody gives a big, impressive move to somebody, the next movement has to be the person that just took that move, blistering the other guy back. They had people going in the later stages of this. You could not only hear them, but you could see the people on some of these false finishes and things popping and or being up and down. They had it. But again, on the finish, they both ended up on the floor and were selling, one on one side of the fucking ring and one on the other side with the steps in between them. And I mean, I could see this spot coming, and I don't watch that particularly often, but Big E stands up and Roman Reigns runs up off the steps with a Superman punch. Boom. And throws him in the ring. And you think, okay, he's going to hit him with something there. But as he gets in the ring, Big E immediately, Reigns tries to do something and Big E immediately goes to slam him. Like he's just taken the Superman punch like 10 seconds beforehand. He's already picking Roman Reigns up. But Reigns drops behind, clips his leg, hits the ropes, and spears him. Boom, 1, 2, 3. So that was the finish for their battle of the two champions of the world and the universe and the company. Superman punch, go for something. He goes to slam you, drop behind, chop his leg, hit the rope, spear, 1, 2, 3. Heyman didn't have to cheat, interfere, distract. Nobody came down. Not saying that that's not overdone also, but in a battle of the top guy on each brand, the top guy on the real top brand just beat the other guy fucking flat in the middle and didn't really stress him out to do it. Is that what you saw?
Yeah, I saw a match that bored me. Despite the people that were in it, the entrances took forever. I don't believe in Big E. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say it that way. I'm not a fan of Big E. And I know other people love him. They're like, oh, his matches are good and oh, this and that. But too much silliness, too much goofiness for too long. And now I'm supposed to see him as a serious main eventer. I don't see him as a main eventer. I really don't. And this match did nothing for me. This whole pay-per-view did nothing. This whole pay-per-view was garbage.
No.
I don't care about Becky Charlotte.
They started good.
No, you know what? Everything else on this show was so bad that I don't care how good that match was in your eyes. I think this was such
now you've turned on them.
I think this was a dreadful show. This was a horrible show. And Vince being a part of it just made you think more and more how bad it was because you realize, oh, he's hands-on. As soon as you see him there, it's all you're thinking. This is his show. He's hands-on, even though he is when he's not on camera. As soon as you see him there, all you're thinking is, oh, this is all Vince. And it was awful. Bad comedy with pizza and just all this crap. This is so bad.
And, there's been sponsorships since the dawn of time, but they don't have to wholeheartedly embrace the pizza to the point where that they're fighting each other with the pizza. And AJ goes to steal the pizza and Montez Ford knocks him out to retain the pizza.
And by the way, there's a lawsuit. Some fans in the crowd. Oh, what are they doing over there? I can't see. Oh, I just got hit in the eye with a pizza.
Oh my God, the sauce, it burns. It burns. I mean, projectile thrown by one of the performers hits them. Can you see if somebody had gone to the first aid thing and I got pizza in my eye?
That's what the guy who attacked Rollins should say. The night before I got hit in the face with a pizza and I just was not going to let this stay.
I went to the medical facility. They had to perform a radical saucectomy.
If they're going to throw pizza at me, I'm going to tackle them. That's my rule.
And also now now that we've said all these things, the next time they throw pizza, somebody is going to be trying to jump up with their face in front of it to get hit in the eye with the pizza.
I would pay to see that on a wrestling show. Someone throw pizza, people jumping out without the use of their hands and trying to just get smacked in the face of pizza.
Do the dolphin jump.
The pogo.
Flipper and then just even get the pizza in the face. There's no life to this. And they wonder... Though I will fully admit this, now AEW is having good matches and good interviews, and they're also still having really bad matches and bad interviews, but everything they do has life to it, even if it's to laugh at the amateurishness of what you're seeing, and you can't believe what you're seeing, but it's still better than, I just don't really like what I'm seeing because it's so boring.
Watching this pay-per-view, I did have one other thought, because there has been a lot of AEW stuff that I have just loved lately. CM Punk, MJF, the Bryan Danielson heel turn, a lot of the Darby Allin stuff. Of course, the greatness of Leo Rush and Dante Martin, one of the great comedy teams of all time.
And Rush and Martin are going to replace Olsen and Johnson?
There's so much stuff there that I really like. The really good stuff is really, really good. And it needs to be pointed out. The really good stuff is really, really good. But the bad stuff, the stuff I don't like the bad comedy and just the matches that don't register to me, but other people may see them and go, oh, 5 stars instantly. They fit in more with the WWE product that you see on these shows than they do with the AEW product of the really good stuff. Do the Young Bucks fit in with the good stuff with the CM Punks and the Bryan Danielsons and the MJFs and the Darby Allins and every other name you could think of? Or do they fit in with the fucking New Day and the pizza throwers
and the Street Profits
and the people acting like clowns on this show? I mean, it's night and day.
And we were told ahead of time that that's what the people didn't want, was more sports entertainment tomfoolery from a company like they get from the WWE. So what do they get? They get the cosplaying vice presidents doing stuff that's too silly for the WWE to do. Well, I don't know after the Survivor Series. Maybe they've crossed that bar. There's nothing too silly.
Well, Jim, now that we are done talking about the Survivor Series, I think we now have to, as part of Equal Time, talk about the other major wrestling company out there who, of course, had their regular Friday night Rampage this past week.
Yes, this past weekend, that was, and they were on Friday, so they left Sunday all to the WWE, so AEW didn't get any on them from the Survivor Series. But I got an email on the topic of AEW. We've mentioned over the past couple of shows, I think the star ratings that Uncle Dave, in his observations, gave to the matches at Full Gear, and we made mention of the fact that even though that MJF and Darby Allin tore the house down, in almost everybody's opinion, fans, pundits, etc., stole the show.
People in the building, imagine that. They liked it. They got 4.5 stars, but the Hardley Boys had to get 5 stars, and Twinkle Toes had to get 5.5, just because he couldn't hurt his friend's feelings. So they naturally had to be better than the best match, even though they weren't. And this led to us talking about, well, wait a minute, that means that even though Twinkle Toes and Adam Page was a good match, some might even say it was a very good match or a great match, but it was better than everything ever done by Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, Terry Funk, Tiger Mask, Dynamite Kid, on it. We just, off the top of our head, we mentioned that, right? Well, one of our fine listeners out there in the cult of Cornette, and we love all of you, but this one was Ron, and I won't give his last name in case that AEW might descend on him, and also because I don't know if I can pronounce it. But anyway, Ron sent us some factoids, some observations about research he's done on Uncle Dave's match rating system. Would you like to hear just a few of these statements? Sure.
According to Uncle Dave's star reviews of matches, the Best Friends versus Santana and Ortiz parking lot match. Remember that one? Where they ended up having old Trent's mother drive back in with the minivan and etc., and somebody came out of the trunk and all that stuff. Well, the Best Friends versus Santana and Ortiz parking lot match, according to Uncle Dave's star ratings, is better than or equal to every Shawn Michaels match ever, every Bret Hart match ever, every Randy Savage match ever, every Kurt Angle match ever, every Chris Benoit match ever, and every Kurt Hennig match ever. But it was not better than the Bucks versus FTR, the Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers, both of those matches, or the Bucks versus Hangman and Omega. And it was also not better than, and since the Best Friends versus Santana and Ortiz parking lot match was not better than, that means that neither was any Shawn Michaels match ever, any Bret Hart match ever, any Randy Savage match ever, any Kurt Angle match ever, Chris Benoit match ever, Kurt Hennig match ever, etc. The legendary 5.5-star match between Sayuri and Utami Hayashishita at Stardom's Tokyo Dream Cinderella event this year was a better match than everything involving Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Randy Savage, Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, Kurt Hennig, etc. Also, just for comparison's sake, according to Uncle Dave, Britt Baker versus Ty Conti was 3.5 stars at Full Gear. Other notable 3.5-star matches include Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 8.
Oh, that's one of my favorite matches ever.
Hogan versus Rock at WrestleMania 18. And Michaels versus Flair at WrestleMania 24. Also, Lars Sullivan and Luchasaurus have been in more 5-star matches than Kurt Angle.
Wait, who in Luchasaurus?
Lars Sullivan.
When was he in a 5-star match? Wait,
I did not follow his career that closely, but apparently, from Ron's research, now if somebody wants to dispute this, we'll give equal time, but according to his research, Lars Sullivan has been in more 5-star matches than Kurt Angle.
I don't even remember any of his matches. Wow.
John Laurinaitis has 2 5-star matches.
Yeah, but to be fair, he stood on the apron. That's all Japan.
I'm just saying,
that's all Japan. That doesn't count.
It's a fact, though. John Laurinaitis has 2 5-star matches, while Randy Savage, Kurt Angle, Dean Malenko, Kurt Hennig, and Brock Lesnar have a combined total of 0 5-star matches.
Wait, Brock Lesnar has no 5-star matches?
That's correct. He's in good company, though. And congratulations, Christian Cage, as Ron concludes, on finally shedding the stink of 20 years of subpar performances and finally having his first 5-star match ever thanks to the Cucamonga Kids. Truly his magnum opus. Facts about Uncle Dave's star ratings.
You know, a lot of people have been slowly jumping off the train the last few years, but in terms of the star ratings, this is the year that I hate to say it, this is the year Dave lost like all credibility when it comes to the star ratings. At this point, it's not evaluating wrestlers, it's fucking waving pom-poms. And you got to put the pom-poms down and be fucking honest. It's ridiculous.
Do your job.
Ridiculous.
Like we do. Tell the truth. Besides that, Vince is 20 years older than Dave. So how has Dave has always led a healthy life. We are not aware of any problems with substance abuse or anything. I hope he's on his prescription medicine, and Lord knows he's got to be prescribed something. But Dave's led a clean life, and Vince with the steroids, and he was a drinker in his day. From what we've heard, it seems like that Vince's mind would have gone before Dave's, but here Dave, 20 years younger, and he's lost his mind.
See, I don't think it's lost his mind. I think it's
principles?
Trying to fit in with, he's an older guy trying to hang on to his youth. And I think he sees a lot of that in the Bucks and Omega. And those are the guys he personally championed. Him giving Omega the star matches, I forget, 6 stars and 6.5 and 7, whatever. That was done for a reason. That was done to make a statement. It wasn't done just because this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was done to make a statement. It was done to give an endorsement. And it's the same thing with the Bucks. Yeah.
I'm with it.
And that's why I said last week, when all the time he accused you of being out of touch, the reality is he's completely out of touch. He's out of touch with everything outside of the Young Bucks camp. And we're all out of touch with everything that goes on in that stupid universe.
Well, speaking of that stupid universe, let's talk about AEW Rampage from November 19th with the 4-man announce booth of Excrement, Taz, Ricky Starks, and Chris Jericho.
Can we start right there?
Yes.
All right, in order. Excalibur needs to be there because there needs to be a lead announcer for the show, and quite frankly, he's the only candidate they have right now.
Right.
So let's take him off the list.
There you go.
Ricky Starks does not need to be there.
Doesn't.
And he's not really contributing much, and there's wrestling commentary and there's WWE commentary. I'm not saying he's just doing WWE commentary, but he's performing as a heel as opposed to feeling like someone is being natural. That's the way I take it.
To be fair with him, he probably doesn't know the difference because all these guys have watched so much WWE television, and it's become synonymous with some of them as what this shit's supposed to be like, and they don't realize that there's a difference between WWE commentary and wrestling commentary. And in this case, you don't need 4 announcers, especially when 3 of them are color guys, active, well, in Taz's case, ex-wrestler, in Starks and Jericho's case, active wrestlers, unless Starks' neck is worse than we've heard. 2 Excrement and Taz would be great, and they could get everything across. This is cluttered. You got a babyface active wrestler. You got a heel wrestler that's not really sure how to do this because they just kind of stuck him out there. Taz is the most experienced one in the booth.
All right, let's get to the problem, because everyone realizes it's a problem right now, and I'd be willing to put money on the fact that Tony Khan wishes there was a way to get Jericho out of that booth. But I think Tony Khan was so over the moon about everything he heard from Jericho and all the reaction he got from people like us when they did those first empty arena tapings at QT's gym, that he probably promised him the fucking Rampage spot, and now he can't get him off there, because Jericho's ruining that show. And I'm not just saying this as someone who doesn't like Jericho's body of work the last several years, by and large.
When Jericho was a heel and he first started with the color, it was fun.
Yeah.
And then it got old. He didn't change it. He became a babyface, and now it's just a lot of yelling amongst people yelling.
And now he's the worst commentator in the entire business. And even AEW fans are saying they have to watch the show on mute or give up on it. He's really bad. He's detrimental to the broadcast because he makes people not want to watch it. And I'm not even just talking about people like me who don't like his body of work since the early days of AEW when he was a good heel. I mean, AEW fans are sick of Jericho on commentary. They got to get him off commentary. He's killing that show. And also he's killing Taz. Because him being there screaming nonstop, almost more than Excalibur's talking, maybe even more, means Taz barely has a spot to get in. It almost sounds like he's asking for permission. Like, hey, what do you think about this, Chris? Like, give me a break.
Yeah. Hey, Chris. Hey, buddy. Can I talk now?
Jericho is ruining that show. If you're really insistent on a 3-man booth, do Excalibur, do Taz, and get a third person who's not a gimmick in there. But the Rampage commentary went from kind of not good with Mark Henry there to now just being completely awful. It's the worst commentary booth in wrestling, and Michael Cole is on multiple other things, various times a month.
With his shaved head. Anyway.
Do you disagree with me?
I do not. Anyway, though, the first match, Darby Allin was Sting in his corner against Billy Gunn and the Gunn Sons, or otherwise known as the Sons of Guns. I was set to despise this. A 1-foot height difference, 100-pound weight difference. The announcers were trying to downplay it by saying 70 pounds. Darby is advertised at what, 160, 170? And that's generous. And I know for a fact Billy Gunn's 260 if he's an ounce. And especially because, as Arn Anderson used to say, muscle weighs more than fat. And Billy Gunn is solid as a fucking rock. What now?
I really got to try growth hormone.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
I mean, come on. It looks like it'd be great. He's in amazing shape. What is he, like almost 60?
Well, as a matter of fact, hold on here. While I'm saying what I was about to say about the start of this match, look up, we know Sting is 62. We remember that, right? Look up Billy Gunn's age, and I'll be back with you in a second.
58.
Okay, 4 years difference. When Sting got up at ringside, when Sting and Billy Gunn got in each other's face, there's Billy Gunn out there jacked to the gills in a pair of Speedos, and Sting is in a fucking bodysuit that looks like he's just gotten out of an iron lung. And only 4 years difference. It's more than supplements. That's genetics and all kind of shit.
I need a corrupt doctor.
But again, I wanted to hate this at the start because of the size difference and the visual was a bit much. But I should have had more faith in Billy Gunn, and my faith was justified. This match went exactly as it should have. Billy Gunn swung him around like a rag doll. They collar and elbow lock up, and Billy Gunn just swung him around in a circle from that. And he was picking him up like a suitcase and throwing him around like a rag doll. Billy Gunn is a pro, and he's been doing this for 30 years. He understands not only at the first how to be a condescending heel and a big bully, but how to set up the underdog for eventually giving him his comeuppance. He hit the big backdrop where he just tossed him around. And it was deliberate. Billy Gunn took his time with everything. It all looked good. He sidestepped the dive. Thanks for coming. See you later. And Darby crashes and burns. I mean,
I hope he doesn't get hurt. He crashes and burns like no one else.
I know. And that's the thing. Obviously, that got a lot of heat when you saw it because the fucking Darby could have killed himself. But obviously, they agreed on this beforehand. And it wasn't like Billy, because I've seen a couple people sidestep a motherfucker like, fuck you, I ain't getting in front of that. And that's a dick move. But in this case, it was agreed on and it was perfect. And that's their break spot. But again, when Darby would fight back and fire up a little bit on the other side of the break, he went to the top and Billy Gunn was staggering, but the Sons were on the floor and Darby did the coffin drop off the top rope onto both Sons and wiped them out, which was brilliant because Darby gets offense, Darby gets a hope spot, and he still hadn't hit Billy Gunn. So Billy still got the heat going. And he was still ragdolling Darby Allin, and then finally shoots him in the corner, misses the dive to the turnbuckle, boom, hits face first on the post or whatever. You couldn't see because the camera shot you, but he does that move well, boom. Darby comes with the flip stunner, boom. Then jumps over and hits the code red, which kind of worked. It looked like an ant on an elephant. He wasn't really big enough to take Billy Gunn over, but boom. Then hits a coffin drop off the top rope. And as he should have, Billy Gunn does a big kick out before the referee can even count, but he's stunned, and Darby runs up and hits another coffin drop. 1, 2, 3. That was a perfect way to have that match between a guy that big and a guy that small when the little guy has to go over. He got heat on him through the whole thing. He was dominant. He was condescending. But he set himself up for a comeuppance, which he got because he was beaten 1, 2, 3 by the smaller guy's fucking finishing move after the big guy made a mistake. And that's because Billy Gunn was involved in that. Everybody else, no matter what their size or presentation or level of experience or whatever, would have gone out there and tried to go back and forth for 15 minutes as fast as they could go with him doing all his shit and Darby doing all his shit. And it would have been like everything else. It wouldn't have made a lick of sense. This was perfect the way that, of course, then there has to be an afterbirth. The Sons come in and get the heat on Darby, and Sting comes in and clears the ring of the Sons and clotheslines them out, but Billy Gunn turns around and gets on Sting. And the Sons come back in, and they leave both Darby and Sting laying. Now, that wasn't a bad angle. If they're coming back with, are they coming back with a tag team match? If I was Sting, I'd trust working with Billy Gunn. Is it going to be Billy and one son? Or how is this going to happen? But while it was a good angle, we've forgotten the purpose of what I thought this match was about. Remember, we've been saying after a babyface loses to a heel in a high-profile match and he's not going to get his revenge, you need to put him on TV and give him a win or two to rehabilitate his image. I thought that's what this was for. But instead, the guy that he beat and his cohorts turns around and fucking leaves him laying afterwards. So what the fuck? The win for Darby was negated by the heel's heat afterwards. Shouldn't you have had Darby get a win or two and then do this angle? Or am I just imagining things?
I agree with you. For the most part, I agree with almost everything you just said. I was not looking forward to this match because I thought it was kind of out of place and you're kind of forcing Billy Gunn into this show. I agree with everything you said about the match with the exception of kicking out at one on the first coffin drop. I wouldn't have done that. I had a problem with that. I think that's a bad move. And then as far as the post-match, not crazy about it because I was hoping it would kind of end here. I haven't been craving more Billy Gunn and family. If they're doing it to give him kind of what Darby had with Pillman Jr., like a 3-week program where in the end of it he goes over and we're ready for the next Darby program. Okay, it's the end of the year. I can kind of go with that. But other than that, I don't know what the point of this would be other than maybe you get 2 or 3 matches. You get a tag team match with Sting. Maybe they're trying to do something with the kids finally because they've both been there forever. And other than cheering at ringside, I don't know what they do. I don't know.
I just, again, I didn't have a problem with this angle or coming back with a match. I just think that Darby went from losing a high-profile pay-per-view match to coming and getting a nice win and then getting the shit kicked out of him and left on his face.
You know what I think Billy Gunn probably did after the match, Jim?
What's that?
He probably went home. He probably went into his office, the office of Billy Gunn. Of course, he must have an office. Closed the door and probably put a picture of him and his two boys on his skylight frame to celebrate the moment where they were on Rampage on Friday night wrestling Darby Allin.
Standing over the prone bodies of Darby Allin and Sting in that fine quality skylight frame, I can see that would dress up his mantelpiece, possibly a chifforobe or a Davenport or something in Billy Gunn's mansion. That skylight frame sitting right there, hung on the wall, whatever. Do the fans remember the skylight frame, folks? They haven't been here for a while, but they're old friends of ours. They're back for the holidays. Folks, if you want one of the preeminent holiday presents for any member of your family, close friend, social circle, loved one, whatever the case, it's a skylight frame. That'll get them every time. You will see the beaming of the smiles as your family from wherever they are, even if you have to watch them over Skype, opens the skylight frame and sees the magic presented therein. The skylight frame is a photo frame that you can update instantly by email from anywhere, and you can send pictures to it. You send the skylight frame to the intended victim or perpetrator, or the person getting the present, not the victim.
No.
And well, they could be victimized later on by somebody else, but we're not talking about that right now. Anyway, you send the frame to the recipient, and it sets up effortlessly in under 60 seconds. You just plug it in and use the touch screen to connect to the wireless network. Hopefully you don't have that certain kind of internet provider. And then you start sending photos to the skylight frame. Everybody in the family, everybody that has the email can email pictures to your personal skylight email address. They pop up in seconds. And then you sit back and you watch the slideshow of all the pictures of your family and your loved ones flying by. It's got a black frame and a white mat, so it looks like a real photo frame. So it's a nice display item. It's got a 10-inch touch screen. You can swipe through the photos with your finger. If you see somebody you don't like, you can give that person's photo the finger. And you can even thank the person who sent the picture through the skylight frame. And there's a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't love the skylight frame, they will give you a full refund. You can preload it with favorite photos and just hand it to somebody for a gift. Or you can, as I've said, honestly, if this had been 35 years ago, this is a perfect piece of equipment for candid photography. And nobody has yet come forward to say they're using the skylight frame for that purpose, but I think it's tailor-made. But you can also give mom one. Just keep track of what pictures you're sending to what, because that could get a little dodgy over the Thanksgiving and Christmas season when everybody gets together. But anyway, don't be isolated from your family in this time of the pandemic and travel restrictions and etc. Look at them all the time with a skylight frame. And right now, as a special offer, you can get $10 off your purchase of a skylight frame if you go to skylightframe.com. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME, skylightframe.com. Enter the code DRIVE, $10 off your purchase of a skylight frame. Skylightframe.com, promo code DRIVE. Candid photography? Whatever the case, the folks at Skylight Frame will make you happy with this holiday season.
Well, a couple of things real quick, Jim. I want to mention that we actually just got another skylight frame here, and it's actually called the Skylight Calendar, where you could still put pictures on there, but you could use it as an actual calendar. So everyone in this house can go to the app and just send in whatever they're doing, and it appears on the kitchen calendar. It's been really handy. I suggest some of the listeners check that out.
And see, and here's something else, too, for all the people who say Brian Last doesn't know what fucking day it is. Well, you've just proved them wrong.
Well, let's get back to Rampage, because there was still more Rampage.
We're having a Rampage right now. Okay, Tony Schiavone, who interviews everybody in this company, was with QT Marshall, and this coming Wednesday in Chicago, just hours away, we're going to get to see on Dynamite QT Marshall versus CM Punk. I think this is diluting the broth a little bit too much. because and I'm sure it'll be a good match because Punk hadn't let us down yet, but that just screams of we got to put Punk on the show. There's no reason for that match to happen. And again, we're messing, and we already have messed with the specialness of seeing CM, and it's not a young guy that he's going to advance. Let's face it, QT's got about where QT's going to be. And I mean, it's in Chicago, so they had to have Punk do something, but is QT the thing, or do they figure they'll love him if he's, wrestling a goddamn hobbit in Chicago? Whatever.
Well, like you said, they probably needed to put him on the show because it's Chicago. It is going to be on Dynamite. You want him to get a win. QT Marshall's not winning anything. And it's the night before Thanksgiving. Is that a night where you would want him to have a higher profile match? Or you want to put a match like this where you get him on, he gets a win, but it's the night before Thanksgiving. People may not be paying close attention. What do you think?
I don't know. If the people see him in Chicago, they'll be happy. And I know you can't publicize or promote or advertise an angle or a run-in or a impromptu situation, but I would probably have said something to the effect of, we're going to hear live from CM Punk about a very important something, and have something for him to announce upcoming in the month of December, and then have somebody come out that he could get in a physical dust-up with and hit his move on and get an ovation, and you don't have to advertise that as a match. And I know people are saying, well, they want to advertise it for ratings. Well, the thing is, if you advertise, we're going to give away free fucking filet mignon every night, and you keep doing it, pretty soon people don't even want the fucking free filet mignon. So does he have to wrestle every flunky on the roster to, you're going to get diminishing returns on the ratings, which is already showing up depending on the interest level of whoever it is that he's intermingling with. So, I mean, what do you think?
I'm not going to go too crazy over it because, again, it's Thanksgiving Eve. People are traveling. People are home with their families. They may not be watching. I expect the rating will be down, but who knows? I could be wrong. You're getting Punk on the show. It's his hometown crowd. It also lets him get a win on the same night Colt Cabana gets a loss. That's nice. But, maybe...
You know what? Now, they might have drawn a number. No, I've said that before. I'm kidding. They might have drawn a number with Punk and Colt, but no, because only the smartest of the smart know that that's even a thing, and most people would go, what the fuck? It's the same thing as Punk and QT Marshall. Punk and Colt Cabana hadn't wrestled a fucking year.
The other thing is you have Punk wrestling a guy that no one cares about on their main show in his hometown, where he's going to be the most over guy on that show. If there was a place to do an angle with MJF to get some heat, I don't know if they're there yet. I mean, they just started last week, but maybe it's a match to set up an angle.
We can hope, but then MJF, Wardlow, and Spears have to intermingle with QT and the Nightmare Associates.
Well, it's not like they're going out drinking together. Intermingle. Hey, you guys.
They have to exchange bodily fluids. All right. Speaking of bodily fluids, the Dinner Circle had a pre-taped interview from the night of their Full Gear match where they're still dressed up, and Jericho has Tourette's. That's the only, because now that they've removed language restrictions in this one minute pre-tape where the guys had already won their match, Jericho said ball bag, dipshit, I don't give a shit, kick the shit out of, and something else that I didn't write down. It just, he's trying to be Cartman with the potty mouth when he pretended to have the Tourette's. You don't watch South Park. So
he's another old guy trying to hold on and trying to be hip and trying to be cool. He sucks. His promo sucked.
When you can say shit on television, that means you're cool.
And MJF, we just saw that MJF promo that took place after the Darby match at the pay-per-view, and it was so unique and so different than his other promos because he was fired up and it was clearly right after the match. This looked like Jericho, like, all right, guys, we ready to do this? Let's go. It just looked so different. It was such a complete different pace. They're wasting Santana and Ortiz. Sammy, I mean, they got a belt on him and he's over with people. Jake Hager, I mean, his whole gimmick is he's white. That's it. I mean, and they're all wearing leather jackets because now, of course, once Jericho stopped being Glam Jericho, he became Biker Jericho. This is all ridiculous. This all needs to stop. And let's not even talk about the main event. Let's not even talk about the thing that we're forgetting. They're still continuing the feud with them and the America's Top Team? What? Why?
Well, because they haven't flushed Dan Lambert's head down the toilet yet, I guess. That's the only thing left. What was I dreaming, or did they beat Dan Lambert?
Didn't Jericho beat Dan Lambert?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's over. It's over. Thanks for coming.
Nobody came out of that match, that really bad match that got a higher rating than it should have in the Observer. No one came out of seeing that match and said, I hope this continues. I want more. More Dan Lambert, more Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, more America's Top Team versus Inner Circle. Not one fan came out of that match saying they want more of this.
And just speaking
Except
from
Tony
experience.
Khan. Except Tony Khan.
But speaking from experience, once you beat the manager or the guy carrying all the heat, flat in the middle, no rebuttal, it's over. Good day to you. This show wasn't over, though, because next we had, and I know this was your favorite, and I watched this match for you. I'll have you know, Brian Last, and I know now that's your cue to say, oh, no, not this match, but
I'm not going to say it this time.
You're not going to say it this time, and you should. Jane Cargill and Red Velvet. For the TBS tournament match, there was only a 1 foot and 50-pound weight difference in this one. But I'm
going to stop you there. I'm sorry. Red Velvet, I believe she'll fight anyone no matter what size they are. She goes in there, she's going to kill herself or kill someone else. And I don't mean like stop. I find her so entertaining. Just body parts flying, and she could kill somebody. So I believe she would fight Jade. I don't believe it's ridiculous.
And I believe the same thing. And I watched most of this match out of morbid curiosity to see who might just fucking hurt somebody. But this wasn't bad. These are two athletic girls of varying different sizes who are both green as grass, but they're doing a lot of complicated stuff. And they don't have the simple stuff down all the way yet. Jane looks like a deer on ice trying to stomp. She just don't get that at all. But they work their asses off, and they're better than they probably should be for this level of experience, especially Jane. So I can't pan this thing, but then finally Jane hit the finish, 1, 2, 3. But yeah, there was a lot of activity going on in this one, and the basics are shit, but they're tatering each other to make up for it.
Red Velvet's one of my favorites. I love Red Velvet.
She didn't do the standing moonsault and miss it this time.
Good.
She didn't do it. That's why she didn't miss it. Somebody's probably said, you know what? Probably you're taking a lot of shit. Probably just don't do that anymore.
Hey, who do you think Brandy's going to feud with when she comes back? Do you think it'll be someone like Red Velvet, who was the surrogate Brandy and is from the Nightmare Factory and all that? Do you think that'll be the person she's comfortable with working with?
No, I think they're going to keep Brandy in the training room at the Nightmare Factory in her training classes. And then when finally she demands to be booked somewhere, they're going to fucking book her in, Hanover, Pennsylvania on Thursday night and say, when you get there, just ask for Fred, and she'll show up and there's no show running.
All right, let's stop right now. You open this door. Do you think Brandy Rhodes will ever have another match in AEW?
I can't say with certainty never, but I would think that most people would try to dissuade it. I don't know how much fight she's going to put up over it. I think it will. Unless they come up with something really good, it probably will be really panned. But we can hope that they'll just say, well, wait till it really means something next week, and next week, tomorrow never comes.
One thing about Jade, and, this is one of the problems with the AEW schedule, and I don't even mean that as a shot at AEW, but just the realities of a modern wrestling schedule.
Yeah.
Jade needs more ring time in front of people. Not on national TV. Because there were a few points, and I could be completely wrong, but I was looking at her face. And I was trying to watch this match pretty intently because Jade is someone they obviously see a lot in, and I think Red Velvet shows a lot every time they give her an opportunity to show something. And I think Jade gets a look on her face sometimes like, She's trying to compose herself and figure out what she should do next.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's natural.
And that's what ring time in front of a non-televised show or in front of a non-televised audience would help with, at least.
Well, and also you could, if you were running Carrollton, Georgia, and there's 300 people at the auction barn, you can tell Jane and Red Velvet, go out there and do 20 minutes. And your finish is a sunset flip. Flip a coin. I don't care which one of you wins. Just have the match in front of it to the best of your ability, and we'll shoot it on video, and then we'll fucking show it back to you and explain where everybody took wrong turns. And that's how you, and they can't go 20 minutes and just experiment on national television. And you can do that in a training class, but there's no people to react. So, and that's, again, that was something that we used to do in OVW a lot was, I don't care who, at the Expo 5 flea market, I don't care who wins. I want you to go 15 minutes and your finish is a sunset flip. Here, we're going to flip a coin. Okay, boom, you're going over. Sunset flip, put the match together on your own in front of it and show it to us. And then you tell them what they should do more of and what they shouldn't do again. And you can't have that time or that freedom. And also, don't talk ahead of time. I've told you one of the other things that I used to like to do on those church gym shows was let the fans vote for the card. Because it's the same 100 people coming on a Tuesday night anyway. So don't advertise anything. Say, here's the 12 people that are going to be on the card. And when they come in the front door, you have slips of paper with the heels' names and a box with the baby faces' names. And each fan gets a slip of paper with a heel's name and puts it in the fucking box of the baby face that they want to see them wrestle. Then we actually would, 5 or 10 minutes before bell time, bring everything up and count it for a shoot. And whoever won the matches. And then the guys having the matches would find out at bell time who they were working with. And especially for the first match, that was a challenge because, okay, Brian, you're working with Swami. There's the bell, go. They couldn't call anything. They couldn't plan anything. So they had to do it in the ring and figure it out. That's, that's, like you said, the schedule is what it is, but all these new talents need a step in between wrestling school and national TV.
But you didn't hate it. But you didn't hate it.
No, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. And here's something else. I need to ask for help. Because Thunder Rosa then did a promo about Jamie Hayter, and she had a lot of emotion, and she was switching back and forth between English and Spanish. And the thing I need to know is she got bleeped in Spanish. What the fuck did she have to say to get bleeped on this show? With the chance of you fucked up and signs that have the words bitch and you can say shit and goddamn and prick. What did she say in Spanish that got bleeped?
Jimmy Havoc.
Anyway, and next, of course, and I knew this had happened the very next morning when I got up and looked at the Twitter machine. Tony interviewed CM Punk about his match coming up on Wednesday Dynamite with QT Marshall that QT had referred to earlier in the program. And Punk did the promo, and again is very glib and very good. And he obviously, he treats the opponent with the level of concern that they deserve. He's not out there shaking in his boots about QT Marshall. But then he said, this is what we heard about on Twitter, and we got the emails and everything. QT Marshall, go ahead and bring your stooges. Bring Solo, Comarato, and a Go-Go. And the look on Tony Schiavone's face was like either, I don't know what he's saying and why he's chanting this incantation, or he knew what he was saying and wasn't sure he was going to get away with it and looked at the camera to see if anybody behind it was going to go, cut! But apparently, Punk is conversant in the ancient Druid language that the incantation comes from, that if you say solo, comerato, a go-go 3 times, then you'll be transported to the 4th dimension. Obviously, Punk listens to the program, but so many people do. We can't, it's not like that's a surprise. We know that people are listening out there because we do hear some things every once in a while or see some things that are taken up and acted on, but we appreciate Punk's mention there. But it is a catchy tune, a catchy little chant, an incantation, a spell, if you will, to conjure things up. Every time that you say solo, comerato, a go-go, you conjure up the spirit of all the job guys that have been departed in the business over the last 100 years. That's how they're remembered.
Remember Cody Rhodes' star-making program with Anthony Ogogo?
Right before he went?
Right before he disappeared and went...
Well, no, we know where he had to get surgery on his eye. He had to go back to the UK. I think the last word we heard was that he intended, hopefully, to continue his wrestling or training or whatever. But since Ogogo went, we haven't seen Solo or Comerato.
Someone told me he'll be back sooner rather than later.
Well, good. Because then we can miss him because he went away.
Do you miss him?
Not yet, but he hadn't been gone long.
He's been gone like 8 months.
Well, by the time he comes back, I'm sure we'll miss him. But Punk's go-home line on this one was basically QT's bit off more than he can chew, and we're going to find out on Wednesday night who's the turkey. And as they see the Thanksgiving theme. So that's... Punk references Thanksgiving with a glib line to get out of the promo. Shitstain books people to wear turkey suits on Thanksgiving.
No, that'll be the Bucks segment.
Well, I know they're going to steal it from him because that's probably the only thing they figured out when they were in TNA. Remember every year in TNA, the Thanksgiving show, somebody had to wear that fucking turkey suit. I tried to steal it one time. Anyway,
what?
I was going to take it and hide it, but I couldn't get it out of the room.
Are you serious? You were going to do that?
Yeah, just to fuck around.
Oh, okay.
But somebody saw it. So I was just moving this over. I was going to sit in a chair. Anyway, so the main event was Adam Cole and Bobby Fish against Jungle Boy and Dino Douche. And of course, Christian Cage is there to speak for them. Although Jungle Boy actually did part of this promo and wasn't bad. Adam Cole and Christian Cage were very good, but Jungle Boy wasn't bad. But with the dueling promo for the main event and then the tag team match. And I swear, everybody knows I like Adam Cole and Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, the Undisputed Era. All those guys individually have worked with them in Ring of Honor. They're all very talented. And I've been salivating at the thought that maybe could we get the Undisputed Era reformed in AEW so we could get poor Adam Cole away from the Hardley Boys before they ruin him too. So I was hoping that this would be one of those instances where the opponents would elevate Jungle Boy and just keep Dino out of it as much as possible. And to that end, the first line that I wrote on my notepad when the bell had not even rung yet was, I hope the reptile doesn't fuck this up. And that was weirdly and eerily prophetic. When they started out, Jungle Boy was great. Fish and Cole were great. They were doing some wrestling spots. They're shining the baby face. Dino Douche got in for a second with his awkward kicks and strikes, but he tagged back out. And everything was okay for the first little bit, and then they did a move. Did you see the move that Dino Douche slams, I think it was Bobby Fish. Yes. Slams Bobby Fish and tags Jungle Boy. And Jungle Boy gets up on the top rope, the dinosaur turns his back to Jungle Boy and stands in front of Bobby Fish, who's laying there. Jungle Boy jumps off the top rope and does a double knee strike to the back of Luchasaurus's head that turned him, Jungle Boy that is, in midair so that he could give Bobby Fish a senton. But what the problem was it looked like it was goddamn a knockout blow to the back of the dinosaur's head, and he missed Bobby Fish almost completely. So the dinosaur should have sold it. Did you see that?
I did, of course.
Are they getting way too cute for their own good to the point where that made no sense in the world?
Remember, this, even though the Young Bucks are not actively wrestling in the match, is one of the Young Bucks. This is like their portion of the show. Adam Cole, Undisputed Era, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus. This all falls under their auspices, so that's why you get that here.
Well, we were headed downhill. They did kind of an awkward heat spot on Jungle Boy to go to the break where one of them tried to distract the referee while Jungle Boy hit the ropes and caught a knee in the back from the other heel, but the timing was off. I don't think Jungle Boy got the picture on the thing at first, whatever. And then they go to break. They come back. They've had a little heat on Jungle Boy. He actually hit a hot tag. Great work by the heels in setting this up to where he could dive, and they were trying to stop him. And the heels fed great for, again, Dino's comeback, awkward as it was. And then he makes a comeback, and the heels feed for him, and they take all these bumps for him. And then Dino Douche goes to the corner, gets up on the turnbuckles, and glorifies and milks the people for so long. He lost the momentum of the comeback till even Jericho was screaming, "Stay on him!" out loud. Like you give directions in a match, like, "Stay on him!" when somebody's fucking wandering around. He was doing that on commentary because he turned around so long and the heels are having to wait for him. Anyway, Fish and Cole got to stand there while the dinosaur and Jungle Boy set up some goofy flip where Jungle Boy flips over the top of Dino into the ring, and they get Fish up on Jungle Boy's shoulders, and Dino completely whiffed a kick on Bobby Fish, even though they switched the camera angle at a fortunate moment. You could still see it, especially because Fish sold it since it never touched him or came close to him. Fish couldn't sell it because he didn't feel anything, and Dino's foot was back on the mat before Fish sold the kick. So the whole thing went to shit since Dino Douche got the tag. And then suddenly, Jungle Boy and Adam Cole were in the ring having a singles match. Dino Douche was on the floor kneeling, watching, down by the ring apron, leaning on it, watching the match. You could see that he was cognizant and coherent, and there was nothing stopping him from getting up on the apron to take the tag. He was just watching, waiting for his next spot. And there was a deal where Adam Cole went for the Panama Sunrise on Fish, but then it was Dino's turn to come in and do something, so he rolls back in and catches Cole coming off the ropes for the Sunrise, catches him and power bombs him. And then the guy who gave the power bomb, Dino Douche, rolls back out to the floor and kneels back down on the floor behind the apron and sits and watches Bobby Fish make the save. Why is he selling? I'm writing. He's letting the heels do more shit and not even up on the apron trying for the tag, and he's the guy who powerbombed the guy to begin with, but then he rolled out of the ring and sold on the floor to let Jungle Boy do more of his shit, and the heels take advantage of Jungle Boy. Did this fucking clown ever go to wrestling school? Or did they just find some schlub sleeping in a dumpster and put this fucking mask on him?
I believe he went all the way through WWE developmental.
So he never went to wrestling school.
I can't speak about what he did before WWE. I would assume he did because he seems more like an indie mark than he does like some bodybuilder they found to train. But he went through developmental at some point.
Well, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't teach the dinosaur how to work. So then suddenly the Hardley boys come down the aisle sneaking and making shushing pantomimes to the camera like, don't tell anybody we're here. And they come down and stare at the dinosaur. But here comes Christian Cage out with a chair, and they do a comedy chase around the ring. And when they run away from the ring, Adam Cole went with them. Why did he go with them? He's not only is he in the match, but they were in control a minute ago. But suddenly, because Christian Cage comes to chase the Hardley boys out of ringside, Adam Cole leaves Bobby Fish, and the heels run back to the entranceway, and Jungle Boy gets the snare trap on Bobby Fish, and he taps out because Cole left and ran off to go with the Hardley boys. And then everybody just stood around and stared at each other off the air. They're beating Fish to death. I'm afraid now they're going to break up Cole and Fish instead of Cole and the fucking Cucamonga Kids, and we've got to watch Adam Cole lower himself to be a comedy stooge to a couple of middle school children who are both, their chronological ages don't reflect their fucking mental ages because emotionally they're 12, and their physical size puts them more at 10, but they're middle-aged jack-offs, and Cole is going to be with them instead, I'm afraid, instead of with Fish because he's leaving Fish to hang out to dry. I can't imagine who thought any of this finish would be in any way remotely good. And that's what we ended up with. So my favorite wrestler from NXT has been in AEW for a month, and I can't stand any of his matches. That was the close of that program. What'd you think?
I can't add too much. I agree. At first, I wasn't excited about Bobby Fish and single stuff, and then he started winning me over. The thing with him and Punk, I really liked, him and Danielson. And then I thought, okay, naturally, they'll do something with him and Cole. And look, I'm not a fan of the Buck stuff, but I figured there'll be some teasing back and forth, some silliness. But eventually, we'll get something. Bobby Fish has been made to look like a scrub on TV. Who knows what's going to happen now? But I think by and large, the last segment on Rampage is tough to get through no matter what, especially if you're trying to watch it live and you're 41 and you have a bunch of kids. That's usually like, I'm going to bed. I'll watch it the next day. But look, did this match fit on Raw? That would be my question. The Young Bucks, their bad comedy, the running away from the chair, which was ridiculous in slow motion. All of this is the part of AEW that fits on WWE TV. And there was a lot more of this early on. But there's stuff like this that would fit on WWE TV. And if someone told you it was Vince McMahon doing it, you wouldn't be like, oh, that doesn't seem like Vince. It would make sense. And then there's the other stuff. The Punks, the Danielsons, the other guys who were doing things that are serious. Even though Danielson had to interact with the Dark Order, he was serious.
He was serious.
And he made that whole thing serious. But it's this stuff, the bad acting, the lame stuff. And I may be completely wrong, but the way the fans turned on Cody, I wouldn't be surprised in the next year or so if you're going to start hearing more boos for the Young Bucks, and not like you're a heel, I'm booing you, more I'm really sick of you guys, so I'm booing you.
You would have to think that now, again, with more professional quality upper card talent coming in, that they're being shown up more and more, and they never change their shit. All the matches are the same. The fucking goofy outfits, the lack of seriousness of anything. That seems to me to be the perfect recipe for people that you would get tired of looking at. And I think it has to come.
They're never a part of the best thing on the show. I mean, despite what's in the Observer. I mean, seriously, that pay-per-view, they weren't a part of the best thing. It's been months since, what was the last thing they did on TV? An angle, a promo, a match that was really like, wow, that's great. No, their matches all blend into the next one, and their promos and angles are all silly. And then all this other stuff stands out. AEW's had moments that will now stand out. I still have on my DVR Punk in Chicago, that debut. I'll probably save that forever. What a moment. You can go watch that. You feel it when it happens.
Yeah.
The Young Bucks ain't getting those moments. They can go do a match and go do a bunch of flips and plan it out and tease moves that they did 3 years ago. And there's going to be a segment to the audience that likes it and an even smaller segment that'll give it 5 stars. But I think a lot of the things happening right now, the Young Bucks are kind of getting left behind. Whether they sign a renewal or not, they're getting left behind right now.
Well, you know, the one mistake they've made since the start of this is they were not able to figure out a way to tell Tony Khan that he should not sign Danielson and Punk and any top talent that would show them up. When they started, it was all their little play friends, and they were going to get to do whatever they wanted, and they stood out in a sea of green because they did all the flips. They just did them better than everybody else. Now that there's quality talent that has come in and is outperforming in a serious fashion all the stupid shit that they and their fucking goofy stooges do, they haven't figured out a way to take the attention back. And I don't think they can because, as we mentioned, they don't have the talent to do this shit right. If they couldn't be 2 little fucking grade school kids that work like the Road Warriors, win everything, and take nobody else seriously, that's the only way they get over. And that gets old after a while because it wasn't funny to begin with, but for people with, you know, the senses of humor that are easily tickled, it worked for a while, but it's getting less and less entertaining and they don't know how to do anything else.
It's just lame. It's just completely lame, but I don't despise the Young Bucks. I don't wish ill on them. In fact, I wish they would research a new career. One that would be lucrative, one that could help them and their families, and one that can give them maybe some skills that are good for people who may not, I don't know, you may not want them to coexist with everyone in society. You may kind of want to keep them locked in a room. I really don't know, but fortunately, we know a place that anyone, no matter who you are, whether you're a good person or a douchebag, we know a place where anyone can get a new skill and learn that skill right now.
That's right. And if you're a douchebag that wants a new skill, then I can think of no better place to go than our fine friends at Codecademy. Because, you know, I said it at the top of the program, nobody knows how this internet works, the World Wide Web, all of these various HTTPs and HTMLs and WWWs. Nobody, even the people who sell these products and services, they don't know how the shit works. That's why the people at Codecademy within the next 15 years are going to be the people that rule the world. The people at Codecademy are going to be like the Knights Templar. The people at Codecademy are going to be the secret society behind the scenes that runs the world because they're the only ones that know how to crack the secret code that allows you to get your emails on time or allows you to order your anal lube from a fine quality retailer online.
Let's not focus on things like that. Let's talk about the actual skills you can use and learn.
The whole world is running on the internet now and all this technology, and nobody knows how it works except for the secret society of Codecademy graduates. And those people are going to be in the spot to control life and civilization as we know it. Folks, over 50 million people already know that Codecademy is the best way to learn to code. I don't know that 50 million people know this code, but they probably figured out that it's the best way to learn it if it's capable. However, Codecademy not only teaches you job-ready coding skills, but also helps you build unique projects for your portfolio, such as I mentioned a few weeks ago, that cordless extension cord. It'll teach you how to build things like that, unique projects. You can earn certificates. Certificates of deposit? I don't know what the certificates are, but you can earn them. But at Codecademy, you can learn at your own pace and get qualified for in-demand jobs, such as replacing innocent technicians of internet services that go to houses where they're then held in the basement until their shit works. You can choose what to learn from Codecademy, from building basic websites to artificial intelligence, almost everybody I come in contact with these days has artificial intelligence. Nothing about their intelligence is real. Everything else you could want to know about coding and the ramifications from doing things in code and how things can possibly be gone wrong, and you can tap into other governments' systems and control the nuclear codes. Whatever the case may be, you'll be writing real working code in minutes. If you write real working code, but you don't have anything to plug it into, Brian, does it still work?
I mean,
yeah, good enough.
None of this is how anything works.
Languages, including Python and the ever popular HTML and the Squall and the JavaScript. If you're not sure where to begin, Codecademy will point you in the right direction. They'll say, go right over there and put your money down, and then go right out there and head out the door. You can take Codecademy's programming personality quiz to get tailored career advice. I took their personality quiz, Brian, and I'll have you know that their tailored career advice to me was to get away from them and don't even bother trying to have a career because I wasn't suited for it.
That's not the kind of advice they'll give the listeners of the show. They'll give you very thoughtful advice that will help you along the path, along this road of Codecademy love?
Codecademying. Codecademying. No, that was the best advice they could give me because they saw that I just had no strength in this whatsoever. But if you're not a dumb shit, folks, they'll pat you on the back. You'll get the instant feedback. I've mentioned the instant feedback, like this sucks and stop it now, because your code is tested as soon as you submit it. So you always know if you're on the right track or if you're woefully inept. Folks, you can build your portfolio and make yourself more marketable to future employers. Land your dream job in web development, programming, computer science, data science, driving an ice cream truck, whatever you need to do. They'll teach you how to do it because this is where all the secrets are. Join over 50 million people. There's that number again. Where are these 50 million smart people? I can't find 3 that can grab their ass with both hands. But you can join these over 50 million people hiding somewhere that are learning to code with Codecademy and see where coding can take you by getting 15% off your Codecademy Pro membership when you go to codecademy.com and use the promo code EXPERIENCE. That's CODECADEMY, codecademy.com, promo code EXPERIENCE for 15% off a brand new career where you can have people like me cussing you because you can't make their Wi-Fi work. Codecademy.
That's right. Well, Jim, let's get a few more questions before we wrap things up this week. This is not a question. This is just a statement, but I'll read it anyway because this was sent to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com.
Hopefully it's a provocative statement.
The subject line, my mom's cousin used to bang Bulldog Bob Brown.
Oh, my God.
And the only thing you wrote is, she also let me know that the missing link was Dewey Robertson so I could yell his name at WWE house shows in Omaha in 1986. Well, thank you, John, for getting in touch with the show.
Thank you for letting us know about that.
Let me put that in the used question file. Well, this is coming in as we were recording. WWE agent Scotty Hotty, Scott Garland, has asked for his release. I have a statement here.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to hear this.
Scotty Hotty, I believe this is him, Scott Garland, at the Scotty Hotty on Twitter. Today I have asked for my release from World Wrestling Entertainment. 30 years ago, I stepped into a WWE ring for the very first time. I have lived my dream 100 times over. Some of my most special memories will always be from the last 5 years working with NXT. The black and gold brand was something special, and I am proud to have been a small part of that. I have always promised myself that I would never be part of something solely for the paycheck, and that was where I was at.
Wow.
I told myself that I would walk away if I ever got to that point, so that is what I have chosen to do. Coaching and producing the stars of NXT will always be the highlight of my life. I love you all more than you will ever know. And that's a statement from Scotty Hotty. What are your thoughts, Jim?
I love Scott as a person and as a talent, he was always a nice guy. He was very professional. He worked his ass off. He was the well-behaved member of Too Cool. And it's got to that point. He was a guy that loved the business, loved what he was doing, and wanted to make a difference, wanted to help. And now he's just doing it for the money, as he said. And he wasn't happy with that. And I don't blame him. And you've got to think that everybody that was working on NXT that believed in what they were doing or what the product was before is, because it's been changed 180 degrees, it's diametrically opposed to what it is now. So you would have to think that most of those people were not happy with the changes or their work environment or whatever.
And he specifically pointed out the black and gold brand. So those words specifically make me think that, okay, I don't like the direction they're going in.
Yeah, instead of the finger paints that have been spilled all over their new logo. But I mean, it's the same kind of statement as a lot of the boys are making when they ask for their release. They're making that statement. They're just not doing it as articulately as Scotty was there, but that's what they're doing. They're saying, I don't like this anymore. It's just, it's a job. It's just, I'm not having fun. I don't agree with this. It's a chore. I'm over it. However you want to quantify that or describe it or whatever, that's what is happening with a lot of these guys. So now you've got not only wrestlers asking for their releases, but the agents and the producers that are supposed to be leading, teaching, and or training these guys. So that's not a good fucking look.
The fact that he did this publicly, I mean, I'm sure plenty of people ask for their releases and we don't find out about it until after the fact. It happens all the time. He did this publicly. What does that tell you?
That tells me he wants to leave. I can't. I mean, I respect that too. That he was that open with it. Maybe he thinks, well, if I say this out loud, they'll give it to me. Maybe he's tried and they wouldn't give it to him before. Maybe this is the second time, or maybe he just wants to, get a little extra insurance that they'll let him go.
This is a really nice way of saying the product sucks and I want to be away from this. That's what this is.
And they probably, I would think, don't want him sitting around telling everybody, yeah, this shit sucks and I don't want to be a part of it. So maybe they'll let him go.
And there have been wrestlers who have asked for their releases and not received them. There's no way they won't grant him his release now after this, right? What do you think?
Well, I mean, what do you do when somebody has basically come out and not only told you, but the rest of the world, I don't like this and don't want to do it anymore? Then how can you not really, and they're not you can't say, well, I don't want to turn a top talent over to the competition. I mean, I'm not saying Scotty wasn't a good worker, but he's not an active wrestler anymore. I don't know that he wants to wrestle anymore. He just doesn't want to be there. So it's not like, well, we've got to hold Roman Reigns to his contract so that he doesn't go to the opposition. It's just, here you got a guy that's unhappy and doesn't want to work there anymore. You're not going to let him go? You're going to hold him to his... They can't make him get on the plane and go to work. They can only hold him to whatever contract he signed, so he couldn't be an agent or a producer for another company. That would be fairly fucking, what's the word I'm searching for? Shitty. You don't want a guy to go produce. It's not like they're letting Pat Patterson go, with all due respect to Scotty. It's not like he's the genius booker of the age or whatever. He's just a guy that wants to go work somewhere else, or maybe just wants to go home and doesn't want to do this anymore. We don't know, but he doesn't want to be there. So how do you keep a guy in that position? You can't even make the statement, well, we can't let our top TV stars go to the competition. He's a fucking producer. So I don't know.
Jim, did you see the footage that was going around? I guess someone, I don't know if it was a construction worker or who, had hidden camera footage from their iPhone of Vince McMahon.
It wasn't hidden camera footage. He didn't have the the camera in a goddamn shopping bag disguised. It was obviously
no. I think it was
somebody with their camera phone.
Well, it was a camera phone, but I don't think it was overt. Like they were standing there holding it, filming everyone. It was holding it sideways, hoping no one would see it. And that's how he captured Vince McMahon, his entourage, including the first public sighting of Triple H in a while. Did you see this?
Yes, I did. And it was Vince and Triple H and some other various and sundry corporate types all dressed up with hard hats that they're made to wear when they go in a construction site, looking around an empty fucking building. And a lot of people, oh, there's Triple H. He's been sighted. Well, we knew he wasn't dead or in an iron lung, as Jay Strongbow would say. We assumed that he was ambulatory and had not still been confined to a hospital, or we probably would have heard about that, so that he was walking around at a construction site for the WWF or the new WWE headquarters doesn't necessarily give us any narrowing down on the on his health status or et cetera, or the possibility of him returning to the ring. But it was just them wandering around looking at that was probably a little corporate outing that they had decided to put together, where all of the high muckety mucks got to see the new progress that was being made in the new building. It wasn't an earth-shaking thing, and there was no interview. It was, like you said, it was just some guy with his camera phone. Oh, there's Vince McMahon and a bunch of people in suits. So, it was what it was. He's ambulatory. We know Triple H can still walk. We have not narrowed anything else down.
We had heard after he had his cardiac event that wrestlers were specifically told you can call him, just don't talk to him about wrestling or business, I think was what I was told.
Well, and I can see that because, you want to keep stress down. You don't want to be asking the guy about your push or your fucking title run or whatever when he's just had a cardiac event. Just say, hey, hope you feel better. I'm there for you if you need anything, whatever. I can understand that, but it's been a while now. Maybe they didn't want him to talk about wrestling or didn't want the talent to talk about wrestling with Triple H because they would all be fucking crying to him at what had been done to him.
Do you think Triple H would ever, and I know you're not friends with him and you don't know him, but you know a lot. Do you think Triple H would ever consider leaving the family business and doing something on his own while still married to Stephanie?
Boy, that'd be a hard row to hoe, as Mama Cornette would have said.
And could he get funding if he didn't have a television deal?
See, it would be hard to get it past the family, obviously. Triple H is now, what is he, mid-50s, early 50s?
Mid at least.
He's had a heart attack or a cardiac event. He's already a multi-millionaire on his own, plus in the family there's a bunch more, and you know that Stephanie's going to be worth a fortune in some inheritance sooner or later.
Only 52 years old. I'm surprised by that. I thought he was older.
Well, I can see that because he didn't start in the business till 95, right? 94, 95.
Well, no. He started in WWE in 95. He was in the business several years before that.
Okay, well, early 90s. So that's about 52, whatever. The point is, I don't know why he'd want to work that hard. I don't know why he would want to take the chance on upsetting the family. I don't know. Honestly, he might be in a better position than a lot of people to get TV or financing for TV just because of the position that he has held in the number one promotion in the world for all this time. So some investor may go for it or some TV network. But then again, there weren't a lot of TV networks bidding for and or interested in wrestling with AEW. It was just the unique situation of Tony Khan already having a relationship with the people at TBS because of pro football and et cetera, and being at the same party and, making that statement. And remember, it wasn't that TBS was shopping for wrestling or TNT or Turner Broadcasting. They weren't looking for wrestling. Tony Khan told, what was the guy's name? Riley? The new one that just left, but he wasn't there 20 years ago. The conversation was, he said something about wrestling, and Tony Khan had to bring up to that Kevin Riley that, well, you had Vince's only competition on your network 20 years ago. We did? They didn't know. They didn't care. But now they got a guy that owns a football team and all this other stuff that they do business with anyway, say, well, hey, I could get you a wrestling company. Oh, you can? Nobody else could do that. If Triple H did it, I don't know that it would have worked, because Triple H is not doing business with the Turner networks in the terms of the professional football and all the other stuff. So, there ain't a lot of TV networks, regardless of what everybody's losing their mind over with all the resurgence of the hotness of pro wrestling. There's limited networks that would be interested, that would be any help to another promotion, which is why MLW's had trouble, which is why Ring of Honor couldn't get anything going except YouTube, which is why all the other companies, Ring of Honor had their own television stations. You've got smaller cable networks that would probably take wrestling, and even Impact is owned. They own their own network, their parent company. But the smaller networks that would take wrestling, like BN Sports, don't necessarily help the fucking issue, because nobody's watching them. And the networks that people are watching, for the most part, except the ones with WWE, the NBC Universal crew, and the Turner bunch, because of the in with Tony Khan and etc., nobody else wants wrestling. So would Triple H go through all of that, upset the family, start a new project at his age when he's got all this money and he's set, whatever the fuck? He may not be the one that Vince is confiding in right now, but sooner or later Bruce will get fired again, and so will Laurinaitis, because everybody does. I think we've seen that now. Everybody that ever works for Vince, in the ring or outside the ring, gets fired, sometimes more than once, but you can't fire the family. So I think he'd be crazy.
All right, Jim, let's go now to our final question this week. This was sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from DC Wolfgang in Buffalo, New York.
DC Wolfgang?
Indeed.
Is that indeed his real name?
From Buffalo, New York. I've been watching a lot of Memphis on YouTube in chronological order, and I just got to 1982, but there seems to be a large gap in what's available for that year. How does Dream Machine become unmasked and become a New York Doll? Last I saw, he was still masked early in 1982 with the Hart family in February or March. Then there's a large gap until about August, and the New York Dolls have already been working for a bit, leading to Fargo commenting and creating the Fabs. Any information to fill in the gap would be fantastic. By the way, New York Dolls are completely underrated, as both Dream and McGraw are fantastic here.
They were really good. And poor Rick McGraw, he was the first one of the modern era that just, what was he, 32 years old, and just boom, heart attack. The way it and I understand there's a gap in the Memphis TVs in 1982. I've heard that before, and I don't know why. But
not in your collection.
No, not in mine, but I've heard that people have a hard time finding that particular year. But without looking back at my books and going into a ton of dates and minutia, there was never any big unmasking of the Dream in terms of to change the gimmicks, because at that point in time, between 1980, January of 80, well, December of 1980, when Dream made his first appearance in Memphis as the Dream Machine, and when he broke his ankle in the spring of 1984, when he and Porkchop as the Bruise Brothers were just fixed to come down to Mid-South, Dream didn't wrestle anywhere else besides the Memphis territory, but that doesn't mean that he wrestled in the Memphis territory nonstop. Because, and we've talked about him before, and I've written an article that that was printed in Fighting Spirit magazine. I'm trying to repurpose some of that for a future project. But Dream was a different case. He didn't like to travel. He didn't like to be away from home. He loved the wrestling business, but everywhere he ever wrestled was adjacent to the Memphis territory. He got that tape that from the Luthez outlaw promotion, the UWA in Nashville in 1976 that John Boucher uncovered recently. He's a job guy. The tape was done in Nashville, which is near Memphis, and Troy Graham at that time, 1976, is just a young job guy, little fat boy. But then by 1978, he went down to Mississippi and worked for the Culkins. That's right below Memphis, but he got a lot of experience there. And then he was Troy T. Tyler in the Knoxville territory, Southeastern. That's on the other end of the state. And once he started working as the Dream Machine, that first year, he was on top of, I think, either 2 or 3 complete sellouts in the Memphis Mid-South Coliseum, 11,000 people. And anybody else would have used that to call other territories and say, hey, I just sold out the Coliseum in Memphis and I'm doing this and that, and you could have got booked. I don't know that he ever tried. I think a lot of times, depending on who was the booker and did they change when they changed from, Lawler always booked his own programs, even when Dundee booked everything else. But every once in a while there'd be a change and they would leave Dream off for a while and he'd just go home in Memphis and wait till they started booking him again. They had another idea. He was the Dream Machine under a mask as a heel and a baby face the first year and a half. And then they'd stop booking him for a little while. And then Jarrett had the idea for the Fabulous Ones. For the Fabulous Ones to work, they needed a heel team that they could give to Jimmy Hart that would have allegedly be stealing the gimmick of, the flavor of, the style of the Fabulous Fargos. So they came up with the New York Dolls and Rick McGraw, who had just come in the territory, and Dream without the mask and with blonde hair. And now Dream had lost 40 or 50 pounds over the previous year. He started working out and got more serious about it, not working out for muscle, but just for weight control. He went from like 280 or 290 down to 280 to 220, probably 25, whatever. So he looked different. So they took the fucking mask off of him. He bleached his hair blonde like Rick McGraw, and he became the New York Dolls, the top hats, canes, tuxedo jackets, heel tag team, so that Jackie Fargo could come in and say, Jimmy Hart, you no good piece of shit. You're so synthetic. You have no authenticity to you. You've ripped off me and my brother Donnie in Rough House, the Fabulous Fargos. Well, I'll get a team. And he brings in, yeah, you stink. You stink, Hart. You stink. And I'll get a team and I'll resurrect the Fabulous Fargos, me and my brothers, and they'll be just like them, and we'll kick the shit out of your team. So the New York Dolls were the first program for the Fabulous Ones. And obviously the Fabs went over. And then from that point, Dream, God, what was that? Fall of 82. He was around, but then he wasn't after the New York Dolls thing. And then finally, as we mentioned, the next year, King Parsons and Porkchop Cash are supposed to come in as the Bruise Brothers, like the Blues Brothers, with the jacket and the briefcase full of blues and everything. But King Parsons decided to go to Dallas. So there was Porkchop showed up, and old Mad Dog Boyd, who used to hang around in the parking lot at Channel 5, he was working outlaw in Mississippi. Lawler sent somebody out there and said, see if the jacket fits him. And that he became the second Bruise Brother. But Mad Dog was a nice guy, but he was fucking rotten in the ring. And so they needed a new Bruise Brother. And honestly, Troy Graham was blacker than Porkchop Cash. He'd grown up in the black neighborhood. He'd had black friends all his life. He was blacker than Porkchop. So they made him the Bruise Brother, and Hart managed them, and they started becoming baby faces, especially in Memphis, because all the fucking fans loved. They by this time they kind of knew Dream was local, but they loved the gimmick and they loved the whole fucking personality thing. So, you know, he had that run for what, about a year until he broke his ankle, and that was pretty much it. He came back as a manager a time or two, and then in the early 90s, he came back and wrestled Lawler a little while, but by that time, the territory was on its ass. So that was there was no defining moment when Dream would change from one thing to another. He'd just be away for a little while, and then he'd come back and have a new look or a new gimmick. And until Dundee specifically asked for them from Jarrett to come down and work with the Midnight in Mid-South, and he thought that gimmick would go over great, and it would have in Mid-South. Dream hadn't worked anywhere else in the previous 4 years. He'd just, if they got finished using him, he'd just go hang out at home until they called him.
I wish you could have had a chance to use him in 94 when all of a sudden he showed up in Memphis again and he was great. I mean, completely different, looked different, covered in tattoos, long ponytail, but his promo skills were still there. I mean, that doesn't go away, I guess.
But I couldn't have used him. He wouldn't have made that trip. Well, he might have once or twice. And we were friends, and I liked him. But the reason why that he came back at that particular time was because he needed money. He was pretty much homeless and went and asked if they'd book him and bring him in, and they did, to work an angle on Lawler based on the fact that he was a down-and-out wrestler that had fucking come on hard times, and he wanted one more shot, and he was going to kick some ass to do it. And they made a personal issue with him and Lawler. Two guys from Memphis couldn't have been more different. Lawler became a star at an early age, had made a ton of money, had the Teflon King, sponsorships, and all those things, could do no wrong. People loved him. Guy from the same town, got in the same business, never got a break, never really got the chance, didn't work that hard for it in terms of putting himself out there, worked his ass off in the ring, and ended up was homeless. And as he said on one of the interviews that he did, everybody in this town knows who I am and what I am. I hang out in places where people get cut and shot. And they all know it. And that's why I'm dangerous, Lawler. And that was true. And I just wish that he'd have been able to take that talent that he had for the thing that he loved and either apply it, work harder at applying it instead of just working hard in the ring, and or when he did have that big break, if he could have taken advantage of it, things would have turned out different maybe. But Dream was always one of those guys that just was going to hang around the neighborhood and get into whatever he got into. So he might have driven 500 miles to come to work for me in Knoxville a time or two, but I don't know whether it would have lasted. And honestly, by then, when he was the Dream Machine on top in Memphis, his car wouldn't hardly go from Memphis to Louisville. I don't know if he could have made it.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's end on a high note. Yeah. With that, the drive-thru is closed.
Well, there you go.
All right. And I don't know where I put my marimba. All right. Well, I'll just bang a little bit.
How about this? There you go. There's the alert.
Found it. All right. With that, the drive-thru is closed. Of course, you can hear the drive-thru next week, right back here, wherever you find your favorite podcast. And of course, the Jim Cornette Experience debuts this weekend, wherever you find your favorite podcast. Get access to classic episodes of the drive-thru and the experience by becoming a patron. Patreon.com/Cornette. For $5 a month, you get access to the archives going back to the beginning in 2013. Patreon.com/Cornette. Don't forget to subscribe to the official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Jim Cornette. It will be the very first thing that pops up.
I'm always the first thing that pops up.
Full episodes, clips of episodes, omnibus collections, all with the incredibly popular Travis Heckel artwork, as well as some of the great work from our guest artists. Check it out today, the official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. You can follow Jim on Twitter at @TheJimCornette. You can follow me on Twitter at GreatBrianLast. You can hear me on the 605 Superpodcast at 605pod.com, available wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Don't forget about Cornette's collectibles at JimCornette.com. Or are we telling them to forget about it again? I forgot.
Well, they can forget about it till after Christmas. I'm getting everything out for them before Christmas. And then I have some exciting things to talk about in the new year. We're getting some assistance. Getting some help. Maybe able to keep the store open a little longer this year in 2022 than we have this past year.
Oh boy, if you're getting some assistance, we may need to get some HR. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. But of course,
well, you never know now. I give very, very cushy jobs to some people. You got a lot of benefits. Sometimes you can even leave whenever you want to. Sometimes.
Of course, JimCornette.com. In case you can't leave, the man to call is Stephen P. New at the law offices of Stephen P. New, 888-692-8084. Get even with Stephen at newlawoffice.com. But until this weekend on The Experience, and next week right back here on the Drive Thru, for Jim Cornette, I'm the great Brian Last. Tally-ho!